Good evening, everybody. And welcome to the Board of Selectmen regular meeting for November 19th, 2024. Called the meeting order at 6:30 p.m. So please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all. Okay. Approve and or amend agenda. Anything else to add to it?
Can we add talking about ARPA? I mean, I know
That's why I
that.
brought the treasurer into the
Yeah,
floor,
yeah,
but
yeah.
there's a report.
Sure.
That's right.
Yeah.
We kind of wander up to,
Okay, cool.
all right, okay. All right, so accept the motion to approve agenda. Yes, okay. Motion made by Glenn, second. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, great, thank you. Approval of minutes, any changes, additions, corrections to the minutes? I didn't see anyone. Thank you. Okay, great. We still have our minutes of the special meeting, but we'll get to those later.
Yeah, I didn't get to
That's
that.
okay, I understand. We actually were pretty, the last one, so I'll read those. Okay, accept the approval of the minutes.
So moved.
Thank you. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Correspondence. The only one we have is from the American 250 Subcommittee for the Kent Americans 250 Subcommittee Chair, Ed Bussey. And wanted to share that the subcommittee met on November 12th. In the meeting, they started to outline the budget and anticipated expenses for the plans. I've seen some of the plans. I see where they're going to have a budget. The subcommittee plans to meet on Wednesday, December 4th to finalize the budget and seek out grant funding opportunities. And said the plan will be fluid, allowing for additional activities and events to take place in community participation, which we assume will be. So by December, we should have their plan and their inputs on that for us. I believe that's what the idea is. So by November or by December's meeting, we should have the next year and a half.
We also have a letter from Connie. From the Land
Oh,
Trust.
yeah, I was gonna add that in sustainability. I'm sorry. Yeah, I was gonna put, well, she's gonna speak to that and I'm sorry, I should have.
I think we should adjust the agenda.
And yeah, Mike, you're right. I should get that. I had that in there. So,
I'll just talk about it, of course.
but it's actually a request for action, so I thought that we had done this before with the NCLC, so how about we go back and we end the agenda?
Sure.
All right, to put under we're with sustainability. 9.2, we just add after that a letter from the Kent Land Trust.
Request for
Request
support.
for support.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, we'll add that to maybe agenda tabs. Okay, then. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Per second. We all approved it, we all seconded it. Okay, did you get that?
Yep.
Okay, great, thank you, sorry. I had it on here to put it in there, I apologize. Okay, all right. All right. Tax refunds.
I'll have comments.
Okay, public comment, I'm sorry. Public comment on agenda items. Anyone have a comment from our public on any of the agenda items you see that was amended, which was the letter from the Kent Land Trust? Anybody? See anybody? No, there. Okay. All right, great. Thank you very much. All right, now we'll move to tax refunds. All right, we just have two, and they're both leasing refunds. One is for A-Car Leasing Limited for $180.07. And then there's the Financial Services Vehicle Trust of $276.88 for a total of $456.95.
So that is not me.
Should be.
Not in the floor. Where? So can you, I'm sorry, can you just read them aloud? I was
Sure.
distracted.
That's okay, no problem. All right, the first, we have two requests for refunds, property taxes, and one is to the A-Car Leasing Limited of Fort Worth, Texas, received at the end of October. The total due was $180.07 of overpaid tax, submitted by our tax collector, Deborah DeVoe. It recommended refund the property tax interest in the amount of money, $180 be remitted to the above taxpayer.
That's fine.
It's a refund of excess payments. And the second one is from the Financial Services Vehicle Trust of Cockeysville, Maryland, type Baltimore, what that is, for a total of $276.88 for both the end of July's payments, June and July's 24 payments, excuse me. And it's recommended again by Deborah DeVoe. We submitted on the 11th of November.
Okay, I'll make a motion to make the, approve the tax refunds as presented by the
Okay.
tax
A
collector.
total of $456.95. Okay, all right, any other discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Great, thank you. All right, let's make sure. Okay, treasurer's report, Barbara?
I don't really have a written report, but I will go over the ARPA information that I sent up pursuant to Lori's request the other day. Well, then I'll give you another one because back in September, I sent an email out to all the stakeholders that had money still in their allotment from the original recommendations by our committee. And the information that I sent out was on the back of the document I just gave you, telling them that the money needs to be obligated by December 31. If it isn't, I need to return it to the federal government. So I've spoken to all the different stakeholders, and it's my understanding at this time, all the funding will be obligated. So we'll be able to report that on December 31. And then the obligations don't have to physically be paid out until December of 26. So as long as we have a signed contract to do the work can happen anytime between now and December 26. And there was 821,000 allocated to the town of Kent. Currently sitting in the bank today, there's $210,000 left. And the grant application program that was approved by the committee or recommended by the committee, approved by the selectmen, is completed. That was completed a while ago, and all those funds have been dispersed. And you can see there were 50 grants given out, the different buckets, individuals and families, local business, nonprofits. That's really all I have for a report at this time. The auditor's still waiting for one piece of information from me before.
Okay.
Thank you.
That money is rest.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think so.
I don't use it here. For me to finish up the fixed asset schedule and send it off to him, and then he can finalize the audit and we'll get it in on time this year by December 31. So other than that, I don't have anything unless somebody has a question for me.
Well, I'm just nervous about a month and a half and having $210,000. And I mean, can you just remind us what obligated means?
It says it right in this document.
Yeah.
On the back, it tells you what obligated means. You have to have a signed contract.
Right.
These items.
And so like the Park and Rec is gonna have a signed contract?
Yeah, actually, I just talked to Matthew right before I came downstairs, and yes, they are planning on going out with an RFP at the beginning of the week, next week, for that drainage.
I just feel like we're cutting it kind of close.
I know, we had talks and we sent the notes out and like I said, Barbara's talked to every single one of them, not just expected or accepted an email. We actually talked to the people to make sure that they understood again and that they're working on the contracts. We had to
I'd like
give them-
the money for the Kent seniors, 13,000 of that, a lot of that was already spent, because I haven't received the bill yet. The after-school enrichment program, they are working on getting contracts in place for the balance of their funding. The sewer plant, they just have to do a signed contract with their new engineer for their big project.
In the break room for DPW.
Rick is,
So we'll talk about it a little later. He needs some LoCIP monies in order to complete the project, to sign the bid package, which includes this room as well. So it's a whole process.
Yeah.
But yeah.
this isn't
you'll have a
happening
contract,
outside of the rest of the upgrades to the,
the room and the
DPW.
building.
so it's all connected.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so it's a bigger
So-
project.
I don't have any concerns at this point that the money.
How is the fire department using up their money?
They will probably just buy more radios or more AEDs or whatever else is that they need to purchase.
John Russell's actually on.
Yeah.
You can ask him.
Yeah. He's on?
Okay, he's on there.
Oh, good. Ask him if he wants to.
John, can you fill us in on what you guys are planning for that $8,900?
And what category for the fire department is that?
This is the ARPA funds for emergency communication.
Well, they actually have 3 recommendations. So they only have $3,400 left in the communications. They have $5,400 left in the fitness room, although I did receive a couple of small bills last week that I don't think are in here yet. And they have $8 left on the stair chair and AEDs. I don't know how they're gonna spend $8, but. So they actually have 2 different buckets. They can't really spend across the buckets without.
I'm sorry, the first item was what?
Your emergency communication system for $3,400.
Yeah,
That's the radios
my
and-
my understanding is that the radio, we're not able to purchase a radio with that amount. So I wouldn't close it out tomorrow because that'll give me a chance to double check with Alan and Pete. But
Yeah.
I believe that remainder amount is because the radios, each radio costs more than that amount.
Right, but it could go towards a partial payment of a radio. So if the radio is $5,000, this could pay for $3,400 and the balance could be paid out of another funding source. But
All
anyway,
right, I concur. Yeah, so I will bring that up and tomorrow probably.
I guess if you're not gonna spend the money, you need to let us know ASAP, because then we can reallocate it. That's my big reason for bringing this up, is if
Right.
somebody's not gonna spend it, I wanna make sure it gets spent. Don't need to.
Okay,
Yeah.
I guess I didn't realize this discussion was possible about reallocating the ARPA funds.
it isn't really the way that you've just described it, because what I've been telling everyone is because these recommendations came through the committee, any request for a change of allocation needs to go back to the committee, and I did point that out in my email to everybody in September.
But I mean, I think the Board of Selectmen has the ability to talk if there's money left on the table and there's a month left.
We gave that.
You gave that authority to the committee,
Committee, actually makes that.
and the committee is still,
It's
has
still-
not been disbanded.
I know it hasn't been disbanded, but I mean, well, then it could go back to the committee and the committee could,
Right.
that's right. And the selectmen could talk to the committee and say, hey, this is an expense that we could.
Right, and like I said, we've been tracking that to make sure that it goes in, and as John said, there can be other things that, if it doesn't pay for the whole radio, 3,400 could go into a communication system, partially paid for whatever things, I know that they're working on that. So it's just keeping people going on with the programs that they said they were doing. Make sure that, I know the same thing with seniors, been talking at break room with Rick, same amount on that, so it's just getting the finalizing a contract. I know, as we talked about before, you said that the LoCIP funding comes into play with that because we're doing the whole building as well. There's other things besides that are all part of it. So it's all part of the upgrade, just getting it all included in there. So from what I've seen anyway, that people are working on it, I don't, Yeah, I mean, if anything, it's gonna be a few dollars at the end, that, might be significant, but right now, it doesn't look as if it would be more than like the $8 or.
Yeah, I mean, that's understandable. I mean, if it's like 20,000 or.
No,
That would be sad.
Yeah, no.
And we still have this room that is not the greatest. So it would be very
It sucks.
logical to me to put some of this, if there's money on the table, that we should, try to fix this room, the audio in this room, so people can actually hear us well.
Do we want to suggest that the ARPA subcommittee meets before our next meeting in December, just to talk about these things? Because there's probably going to be money on the table from, it's just one.
But she's saying she's gotten confirmation from everybody that they're gonna have it
Well,
spent, they're gonna have it all.
It certainly can be, I mean, that's.
I mean, just as a contingency,
Aren't you still on the committee? You're still the
Yeah.
chair, right? Are you?
Yeah, it hasn't been disbanded.
No,
Robert
that's-
actually let me know when the email was about to go out in September.
Yeah.
I'm checking that through
Yeah.
our plan.
Yeah.
This reflecting county minutes is still, we're talking over anybody, but she is the current chair of the committee, and I think you're still on it. Yeah, so, yeah, if you guys need to call a meeting, you want to update that, certainly can look at that. And then if there is anything that somebody sends up on, we can look to do that before that, sure. And our December meeting is the the date, the 19th.
Marty, could I?
Yeah, John, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. My impression was that Alan had conversations about the possibility of reallocation, particularly for KVFD communications, because of the radios that we are going to eventually have to purchase, and they're so expensive. But my impression was that conversation became exhausted with not a favorable outcome, but I might be mistaken. So this is a great time for me to ask, is reallocation in some form still possible?
I'm going to refer you back to the email that I sent in September, because it does say if you intend to ask for a change of use for any remaining funding, please submit a request in writing and adhere to the following limitations and considerations. It was all in the email that I sent in September. I'm pretty sure I copied you on it. I'm not sure it went to Alan. It might have just gone to you and Eric. But anyway, if that's something that you want to pursue, you need to do it in writing so that I can notify the committee, we can convene, etc. So I'm just going to refer you back to the email.
Okay, I wasn't sure if the reallocation topic included the possibility of cross organizations or was limited to that organization only.
I'm not sure I understand.
If it's within, any reallocation, John, you're saying it has to be within kind of volunteer fire department
Services doesn't use
aspect,
that.
right? Not someone else taking the money to go to something else.
Correct. If another organization in Kent does not need all of its ARPA funds.
Well, my suggestion would be that in your request that you submit in writing, you include a sentence that says, we have additional expenditures. If there is any other unallocated funding, we would like to request it. I can't speak for the committee. I don't know what the committee would decide to do, but that would be my suggestion.
Understood. Thank you.
Yeah. That's all I have. And I'm gonna go back upstairs, but I'll remote in case you have any other further questions. And I am planning on being able to screen share the, whatever you want.
Okay, thank you.
I just appreciate you sharing.
Yeah, thank you.
Anyway, okay?
So when is our next meeting?
The 19th of
19th,
December, that
yeah.
Thursday, that won't because of the holiday.
So
Is
what
it
we're-
Thursday?
Yeah.
Thursday. So what we're talking about
Is
is
it 6:30?
if for whatever reason ARPA needs to meet, it's gotta happen before the 19th.
Should happen as soon as possible. It sounds like KVFD is gonna probably make a request, so maybe you guys could meet and talk about that concept.
The concept.
The concept that he just said, if there's money left over. gonna go to something else. And I think the selectmen should put in a request too, to be able to fix this room. If there's money left over.
Right, you can do that. Yeah, I'd like before, there was no money, everything was already
I
allocated.
just want to point out that any monies have to be obligated by December.
I know, that's why it's
The written requests, then the committee meets.
Yeah.
That's why.
But you guys have already done the homework.
This room?
Yeah, didn't you had people come in and,
Yeah, but the amount of money that they were talking about to redo this room is not gonna, you don't have enough left over unallocated, that's gonna come back. In regards to this room, I am meeting directly with Zoom. I'm setting up a meeting in the next, I think we're trying to get our schedules together. The people who actually created the equipment to see if they can make adjustments that our IT department does not know about. So I'm meeting with them to see, so hopefully maybe I can do a quick fix, less expensive. I'm going in the back door.
I like it. Okay.
Okay. Yeah, and again, with Barbara, I've been, and the part of our, we've been spending a lot of time going over different things with them as well. Barbara's been very much involved, so it's a doctor about that. So, but I do appreciate all the things that holding it. So yeah, anytime you guys wanna. Okay. New business, we have a slew of appointments to make tonight. They're all laid out in the agenda. We'll read those off. Lee Salt for Animal Control Officer would be a one-year term, effective 11/30/25. James Salt, the Animal Control Officer Assistant, I think they know each other. Again, a one-year term starting on 11/30/25, or to 11/30/25, I apologize. Yeah, starting 11/30/25. Bruce Bennett, Tree Warden, one-year term, until 11/30/25. Melissa Janisky on the Conservation Commission, a three-year term, from the 3rd of December to December 3rd, 2027. And Gene Speck, also the Conservation Commission appointment for a three-year term until December 3rd, 2027. Wendy Murphy is a Conservation Commission alternate, a one-year term, 12/4/25. There is a open Conservation Committee member, and we've got a nice email to send out, or a nice notice to send out to recruit people. It's really nicely done, so we'll get that out as well. And Ken Dietz for the Inland Wetlands Commission, 5-year term, expiring 12/31/29.
I make a motion that we approve all these appointments as presented.
Second. Any discussion?
Thank you
Okay.
to all these people who are volunteering.
Absolutely. Thank you, Lily. Move yourself, okay. All in favor? Aye. Great. Okay. Next, that's the sustainability team, reestablishment. Connie and I had a conversation, Kent Conservation.
That's fine.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or should I stand?
Oh, no, no, it's under the table.
There's only a couple of us being. You mentioned this one, that's. No, but we had a discussion, Conservation Commission expressed some concern about where we're going with that. So Connie and I talked, and they said, yeah, it's time for us to, I think, re-energize that. It's kind of almost fallen off. So I'd like to have the board sort of hear any comments and thoughts from Connie, but also to re-energize that and start putting out feelers again. We only have Joanne Wasty, I believe, and it's officially on there. Jean is on there. I think she was on as the Selectmen, which was with the original as a Board of Selectmen subcommittee. She served on that one. We can certainly continue her on there if she cares to. And we can see if we can't generate more interest to staff it, fully staff it, and look what's going, and to help look at what we can do with the sustainability team. So kind of anything, comments?
Sure, I mean, I think you summarized it pretty well. We weren't really sure the mechanism that revives it. And so if it is a matter of appointing me, which I would hope that you would do to the sustainability team, I'd be ready and willing to serve on that. A bird told me that there might be another person at this table who would be willing to work on the sustainability team, and that's Lynn. Of course, Lynn has good project management experience, which is helpful. As you probably know, Sustainable Connecticut is a program that, requires a lot of collection of information and organization of it. And so the work that I do with Land Trust in the accreditation program really lends itself to that kind of a endeavor. So I would like to, I've spoken with Joanne Losty. She's eager to get started again. And so however it works best, if it works best for me to be appointed to the sustainability team, for us to take on, another member, that would be great. If you thought it was fine to roll it into the Conservation Commission, that is fine. Either way, it involves really the entire town in many ways, because sustainability is not just about conservation in the environment. It's about, the vibrancy and vitality of your town as well.
Yeah, the thing, after our conversation with that, I thought about that.
I didn't reach out to you because
That's okay.
I had seen it on the Conservation Commission's meeting agenda and minutes, and I thought, oh, I should, and I actually reached out to Keen and Melissa the day of their meeting.
Right.
And they said, oh, Marty really wants to do it a little differently, so.
Well, we thought if, both of those are intriguing to put it under. The only thing we've always done or have been doing, I think, is a matter of course with a subcommittee is having someone from the board on that subcommittee generally, which would certainly, we've done it with broadband, and we did it with our fire department discussion. We've done it with Swift House and others, and now economic development and so on. So that's a big way to go. The only issue about the selectmen and sitting on a full committee, if we were to second the sustainability program team into the Conservation Commission, I'm not sure if we can do that with you as a
Yeah,
member.
I would rather, yeah, I think keep it separate because particularly if we can keep it small, then it'll be easy to have meetings.
Joanne was thinking that we could meet quarterly.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's.
And
think
then work
so.
on the things,
Yeah.
in the interim.
Yeah.
So I think that would work.
I think there's criteria that, I forget, but there's specific
Yeah.
criteria that
There's
are
a
for the
lot.
team that you have to have meetings a certain amount of
But
time.
it's-
I think quarterly
Okay.
is quarterly.
Okay.
Yeah, it is for, check that, just to make sure. But since we've never really, not, it's still a subcommittee in standing, I think we just need to, again, re-energize it. We could make a motion right now to both appoint you and you to it. I'd be happy to do that at this point, and then bring it back as a subcommittee and see where we go from there, and then what recommendations make that line, and go from there.
Well, I mean, if you're concerned, so if you're concerned there should be more than 3 people and you want to make sure there might be other people out there who are interested. I mean, I think why don't we just put an email out there?
Oh, absolutely.
And
No,
that way, at
sure,
least the
sure.
3 people can start working and then we can just
Absolutely.
fold in other people.
Absolutely, yeah, exactly, yeah,
Yeah.
no, we would do that and then recruit whoever you thought was appropriate. Since it's a subcommittee, there's no real restriction or limit on numbers or, mandated numbers, so 3 to start with. I think it's quicker and easier, which I agree, yeah, but it is, I'm good with that, so, all right. So I guess, I'll make a motion.
Before you do that, you need to confirm how many people you want in totality in the commission so that they know how many a quorum is. If you appoint these 3 people, are they a quorum to meet technically as a subcommittee? And this is one of the subcommittees that the enrollment constantly was changing because their meetings were a little bit more sporadic, and so I don't recall that there's an actual base number. I think it was one of those ones that it kind of grew and
It's small,
didn't.
it's just small, there was no, as I
But
said,
you
when I-
set it at 5, that still gives you 2 extra positions, and then if
Couldn't we set it at 3 and then if we find
Yeah,
other
that's
people,
really good.
if we find other people that are interested, we can come back and say we want to.
I was just playing off of what you had just said, that you wanted to advertise for more people. So I thought maybe you'd set it at like 5 and then the 3, but then that would mean all 3 of you would have to be available to have a meeting. Because you need 3 for a quorum if you set it high, but however you want to do it, but I think that needs to be part of the motion, that you've reestablished the group of 3, 5, whatever number you pick, and we'll reappoint, or we'll
But
appoint.
it never disbanded, Joyce, so.
It didn't
Well, we're
do
just
it
gonna
yet.
appoint you to, all right, my thought was to point you, but if you're interested, absolutely, to point to it. And then leave it as a subcommittee of 3. And then you can go recruit more people, come back to it, so we'd like to expand it, we just make that motion, expand it to whatever number you have, and then appoint those people. That seems to work within the letter of the law,
I think so.
all right? We can readjust it to 3 members right now, so, okay, good with that. So I'll make a motion that we reassemble the Kent Sustainability Team to a number of 3 members. To be, and 3 members to be Joanne Wasty, Connie Mannins, and Lynn Mills Worthington from the board. Oh, secretary. All right. Discussion? No, all in favor?
Aye.
Good. Sorry, I was looking at Miranda on the bottom. I just got Miranda.
Uh-huh.
Or wait, Miranda in the head for a second. Okay.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
thank you.
Looking forward to it.
Yeah, so am I.
Stay right there.
I'm here.
Okay. We did receive a letter, a very nice letter, from the Kent Land Trust, signed by Connie Mannins, the executive director. I won't have to read this. I think you could summarize the whole letter. So it's requesting the board to support a grant program, grant request that you're going through, correct? And we have done this in the past, so I'll just shut the lane time.
Right, that's correct. So, the Kent Land Trust has in the past 4 times received this open space and watershed land protection, or I guess it's open space and watershed land acquisition program funding from the state of Connecticut. It's an immensely helpful program that helps land trusts throughout the state purchase property. And the properties that we have acquired with that support include East Kent Hamlet Nature Preserve, which I'm sure everyone is aware of, Skiff Mountain South Preserve, which is just so rich in terms of the opportunities it provides for students and for hikers up on Skiff Mountain, and the protection as well of a place that is so rich in contiguous protected land. The application that we intend to submit to the state on December 2nd concerns a 62-acre piece of property that is on Camp's Flat Road. This property is really special. It is a property that contains wetlands. It has, most probably rare plants. There are NDDB blobs on it, if you will, showing that there is habitat that is very suitable for rare species of plants. It has amazing opportunities for hiking and for multiple uses, including a really nice flat area that will make it accessible to people who have physical disabilities. It's a quiet place. And it adjoins the Alice McAllister Memorial Sanctuary, which you may be aware of. We're really excited about what this property could bring if preserved to the community of Kent. So one of the elements of the application is a showing of community support, including support from the municipality. They want to know that protection of the land that is proposed is consistent with the POCD. It is, and I've called out why in both my letter to you and the draft letter that I've provided with some sample language that you might use in your letter of support. So we're really hopeful that you would provide your support, and we look forward to making this a real resource for the community.
How competitive do you think this grant is overall? Fairly competitive?
The grant is competitive. The scoring rubric is published, so it's possible to kind of gauge how you might do As I've said, we've been successful in the past. It's a really great way to leverage public dollars actually, because it takes state, federal through the Highlands Act and donations from the public fundraising, foundation money, but it allows all of those resources to come together for a stronger more ample pot of money basically.
Sure.
And so on this parcel, will you do that? Will you tap all the different?
Yes, so
sources?
the
Yeah.
state's portion is likely to be 30 to 40% of the purchase price. This is a little wonky, but the way that the Federal Highlands Act works is basically they pay for half of the value of the diminution of what the property was worth when it was developable and when it's essentially raw land value. So that's how they come up with the money that they provide, and then the rest is up to the land trust to fundraise for or provide.
And the other, I know the answer to this, but there's no way that we can carve off part of the land for housing, affordable housing, right?
So actually, I have had conversations with Justin Potter of Kent Affordable Housing, as you know, and Marty knows because he participated in this. The Kent Land Trust has been working in a regional project that brings conservation and affordable housing organizations together. And Justin and I discussed this property and, its suitability or not for affordable housing. And it's really not. I mean, the properties that affordable housing would be looking for are closer to community amenities, including water and sewer. This is a property where in order to develop it, to get to the developable sites, you probably are crossing some wetlands. There's steep slopes in it, gorgeous views, but probably, that takes it out of the price point that affordable housing is able to move forward with. So we are very, very eager to work with Kent Affordable Housing on a project that might incorporate elements of both conservation and affordable housing, but this particular piece of property isn't it. And Kent Affordable Housing is writing a support letter to the Kent Land Trust for this particular project.
Cool.
And the property is on the south side of the road there, and it abuts the sanctuary, is it?
Yes.
How do you describe it? I've got a picture actually.
Visualize the four corners where the post office is.
Yes.
Okay, head towards Gear Mountain Road. Okay, you go up a little rise, down a little rise, and right across from where Mountain Road is, there's, a very intriguing, pretty piece of property with some open water, there are beavers, and yeah.
Where the Stuyvesant Road floods, right? And the
The
right hand
road
side.
has flooded.
I know, I'm
I
just saying, but
spoke
it's right
with
before
Rick
that.
Osborne about how the town manages that,
Yeah,
and that'll be, an ongoing partnership between the land trust and the town as well to make sure that we keep looking at that.
Exactly. All right. I like that. I think it's the right thing to do. Obviously, I like the property. Actually, I've been up there hiking one a few first times years ago. Just wondered where the heck this all went, and I saw the beavers back there. So, it's a nice piece of property for this. So, I think the town is great to be able to do this, and always great to have land trust looking to do these projects and stuff and preserve this thing land. It's great. So, what I'd like to do is give a thank you to Connie and the Kent Land Trust for bringing this to our attention. And then just go ahead and authorize me to go ahead and write the letter of support.
So moved.
Okay. All in favor?
Hi.
Great.
We really appreciate your support,
Very good.
so thank you so much.
Thank you for explaining it all to us.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, Ken. Okay. Next. Fourth, like a regular meeting schedule for 2025. So. We did change again. We kept the date of Wednesday for 2025 based on schedules and so on, and also participation and then other issues. We decided to move our start time to 4:30 p.m. Sticking with again the first moving from the fourth Wednesday to the first Wednesday. First Wednesday in January is, of course, the first, which is a holiday, so it moved to the eighth. So all the dates are laid out. We've checked them twice. And yeah. We're okay.
I got a few questions. So Wednesday, September 3rd, 2024. So that should be 25.
In October, yeah.
Yeah, and then the October date, that 23rd, that's actually a Thursday. So if we're doing the first Monday of the month, that should read the first. Wednesday, October 1st, 2025. The 23rd of the. That was this year, actually, 23rd of that Wednesday.
Right.
So that should be the 22nd.
So that should be,
No, to
In October, the 7th.
it should be the first.
Yeah, it's actually October 1st.
October first.
October 1st.
The first.
Oh,
That's all.
okay, so sorry.
And update your phone to next year. They're doing nothing.
Everything else is fine.
Okay, so amended to Wednesday, October first. Yeah, I saw the first September, then I saw 24, I didn't catch the date. Yeah, it's September, so.
No, just the, okay, that's right.
Okay, so we have all that, so we have. Wednesday, January 28th, exactly the second, because of the holiday, and then September 3rd, 2025 is amended, and Wednesday, October 1st, 2025 is amended. With that, so there's a motion to accept the 2025 regular board and selectmen meeting schedule. It's amended. Thank you. Yes. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, there you get that drunk. Okay. Evaluation and appraisal results. Okay, let me pass this. Not as easy as you might think. May have rethought this over if I. Anyway, do you have one, guys? Anybody else here?
Yeah.
Okay, Barb, are you on? Could you put this up on the screen if you can?
Yep, I'm gonna try to do it. Let's see if it's gonna let me screen share. Okay, can you see it?
Who you can. Okay, so back 100 years ago, we talked about, but back in the spring, we talked about as part of the budget process to request allocation, which the town approved, board finance approved for $12,500. And as a part of that, we looked at a longevity pay stipend, and then as part of the appraisal process, the remainder after we did the stipend, as applied to the performance evaluations that we did up through the end of September. So it's a 90-day, 1 July to 30 September. So in the process, I'm just going through this, and I will state for the record that these are our working documents. We're still finalizing some of the signatures and so on, but the grades themselves have been allocated across, which is what I said we would do. And so today I would like to go over the formula we use to actually apply the remainder. The only change to the longevity pay stipend was that Donna is no longer in the land use office. So
Hayes,
Donna Hayes, yeah.
she was on.
Oh, yeah, well, no, put that up.
I'm sorry, I missed that.
I'm sorry. She decided to retire.
Oh,
And so, yeah, so that abrogated the longevity. She understood that as she left. So, yeah, a lot of different reasons for that. But
okay.
it was time in her estimation. So that reduced or actually allocated and changed the whole longevity pay period piece to a total of $5,000 allocated for the longevity pay stipend. And just a reminder for the stipend, this is actually a stipend, so it's a bonus. The plan for that is to pay by check That's still taxable and so on, but that doesn't go to base. So we're gonna separate to the stipend and then to the base. So this base goes to a stipend and those checks can actually, once we're done here, we prove all this, can actually be put out tomorrow. So I think we talked to Barbara about a special pay period and a special assessment, or not assessment, but a special check writing process to be able to get this out to people before the holiday, which I think would be a good thing. Okay, so what we did is, based on the approved appraisal and review form that we had 6 areas of valuation for the department heads. This one that had people working for, we had a leadership one, we added one for that as well. So that gives us a total of 30, but many of the people that or few of the people we're looking at only were employees that were not leadership, so they were at 25. So what we decided to do was to actually take the number of people, which was a total of 14 people total, and divide the remaining balance of 7,500, which takes into account after the 5,000 of the stipend for longevity, and just divided that up into a base number, and the base number was $591 per individual. I mean, just do that.
You're losing me here.
Okay.
So 509,
Right.
why divide it? Is
Okay.
everybody equal?
No, and that's it. That's why you'll see the end column. I'm trying to just walk through the
Okay,
process.
all right, I'll shut up.
It's okay, no problem. We went through this about a million different times, go back. So we just looked at that, and then we decided to look at as a base. And then we looked at the grade, overall point average for the assessment. And we took that in a number of percentage of the total points earned. So 29.5 is 98.3% of 30 points. So what we did is we took that to the 591 and gave that 98.3 percentage against the 591 each individual. So that person was then assessed the amount or assigned the amount of $582, which is 98.3% of the $591 divided. So as you see, those people, and I didn't put the names on here because everything is still in a working relationship, but we did. Okay, I appreciate it. But we went through, and you'll see that the seniors, most people that have been around, you can tell by longevity who's in a position, that their pay was actually higher. That's the base, the amount that'll go towards the base. Reflected both their performance, reflected their position, reflected our our reliance on them, and so on. We also had to deal with those that were in a hourly basis. So we looked at that as well. We tried to do a percentage in hourly, and it wasn't even equitable or even doable because the number of hours were different. So that's why we went with the divided total and then did percentage, because they were evaluated, and some of those evaluations were a little bit lower as they were gaining seniority and experience and so on. So that actually worked out where it hit where I thought was a equitable and fair assessment of this allowance assignment, excuse me, not assessment, assignment of the amount. So that's how we did it. We did it all the way through. I did sit down with Barbara, and the reason I didn't get this out a little bit earlier is we just got done doing a couple of the individuals last Friday afternoon, sitting with some people to finish it up. We gave it to the 15th to do the evaluation and go through all the written part and the grades and so on. So these are the numbers we came down to. Out of the 7,500 we allocated based on this formula, $7,420 with $80 left over. Pretty close to try to make it equitable and try to make it meet the criteria, and then assign and appreciate people for the performance they did. So that's kind of it. Barbara, did I miss anything on that?
Nope.
I had to explain it to her a million times. Because so we went through different variations of this to make sure that we could allocate as much of that 7,500 as possible, especially now that we had a little extra. It was going to be $6,700, but that changed to 7,500 with down on leavings.
So Marty, I think this is, I thank you for all this, but I did go back and listen to our meeting August 20th. And you had and I even transcribed it, and I transcribed what I thought were the relevant things. So we talked about this merit, the merit part, and you made it sound like we were gonna be able to have more input than you are presenting us with right now. I said, you're gonna make all the merit decisions, and you said, no, the 12,500 is all three of us. The signature would be me. And I said, meaning the paperwork? Yes, I understand that. I'm trying to understand the timeline. And I understand that the timeline got a little skewed, but. And the other thing is, we talked about that there probably wouldn't be a formula for the merit. I said, I don't think there's gonna be a formula for the merit, and you said, no, that would be personalized, but if we can decide we wanna do a number per year, and this is when we started going into the talk about longevity. So I'm not comfortable approving the merit based on a chart. You told us we were gonna be able to see the paperwork.
Well, I said, we're in mid-November, I said not by the end of October, but it might get done fairly quickly, but it wasn't.
I'm not criticizing the timing, I'm just saying, you told us we would be able to see the paperwork. And now we're not able.
I thought I said, well, when I went back and looked at it, I think I was going to be the discussion about the formula. The personalization would be the points earned, the whole idea of assigning that based on a formula, based on how we would do it.
I think
That's
we
kind of
need
like-
to have an executive session, and you need to be willing to share all the paperwork with us.
I'm not going to do that. Because I went to the lawyers and asked that. That is my decision as a
No, I'm
chief
not,
executive
I'm not
officer to do
saying,
that.
I just
I'm happy
said,
to share that with you once I'm done writing them all out. And if you don't want to do this, I mean, obviously it's together to do that, but I just want to, okay, Lynn, I'm just saying, I don't want to get in discussion of why did that person get that point and that person get that point and so on, because that's my evaluation. That was the whole point, is that as the chief elected official, I'm the one that works with them every day. I'm the one that evaluates their performance all day long. You guys are the advice and policy board, not the implementation and operations board. So.
I understand that, but when we talked about this in the very beginning, it's been with the understanding that we would be able to have understanding of how these guys were being evaluated and what the actual evaluation was gonna be.
Well, we went through the evaluation.
I'm not saying I
Months of
wanna change
reviewing the
anything.
evaluation process of paperwork itself.
I know that, but we don't know what the results were. No, I mean-
Points average.
But it's only fair to us to be able, I think it's only fair that we be able to review them before asking us to vote on it.
I guess I would say I would disagree at this point. I don't understand getting into the specifics of the evaluation is what. It's not what I thought we were going to do. Specifically was to look at how we would allocate it based on the evaluation that came up. And this is the overall points average. Every write-up on Saul had a points assigned to it, one through 6, or 1 through 6. Or, excuse me, 1 through 5, 6 areas of discussion. I don't know what else you need to know about the specific. I mean, certainly they're going to be public record once they're all done and final signed. I won't do that until I have everybody's signature. Can't do that, but these are the points that have been assigned that we've been discussing with each individual in the performance area. So I don't know what more you are looking for in regards to the actual evaluations.
You told us we'd be able to see the documents.
And you can.
Yeah, but I
they're-
wanna see the documents before I vote.
Okay, well, then I think the spirit of that, of the whole idea of doing this, with me doing the evaluation, I understand what the difference is going to be with with understanding the points that were assigned, which is what the evaluation comes down to, point schedule, as well as some of the verbiage of what they're doing. And that will be available. That was our public documents at some point. As I said, we're not totally done with it because there are people that are not here that have to get signed. We have to finalize just the signature piece and some of the wording. But these are the overall points. I don't know. I don't know. What do you think?
I do agree with Lynn. I thought we were gonna have a bit more to see. You know, I mean, this is nice. I mean, I've just got my calculator out. I'm doing all this, like, that makes sense. But like, and I understand you were gonna make, I mean, you work with everyone every day. I mean, I knew you were going to do way more than us, but I thought we were going to get a little more information before we got this presented to us. So, longevity, that's easy. The other part, that's been a little gray.
Yeah.
It's been a little gray. Because I went back to that meeting as well, and it's, Lynn did bring this up. And I think we thought we were going to get a bit more information.
What exactly are you looking for? Let me be specific.
I want to be able to see the ratings. I want to see the commentary
To do what with?
for my own knowledge. Cause like, I want to know, I want to have that information.
Okay. Then I think the whole aspect of what the evaluation in the whole process was to begin with is we're not jiving with what the responsibility is, me as the chief executive officer, chief elected official, whatever you want to call it, for this and for the evaluations of these individuals. For you guys to see those and then decide you like the numbers or not, that's prejudicial. And I don't think that's going to be appropriate. And I think I'm going to have to go to the lawyers and get the specificity on that again. Because and if you choose not to do this, obviously you guys have a appropriate vote, but I think we're just down to simply so, because if you guys look at something and you say, well, I don't, what's this word? And that's not what we're supposed to be doing here with the assignment of this 12.5, I didn't believe. So if we both all misunderstood what the whole intent was, then we really did miss the boat on this. So tell me what you want to do.
I want to pause the merit part of it. I have no problem with people getting longevity pay. We agreed on,
Okay.
it's very straightforward on that.
That was
But
always the easy part. That was
But
always-
why are people getting longevity pay who are not participating in the process?
Because that was put into play before they actually assigned for the merit.
But no, we didn't even come up with the longevity thing until August.
Correct. And people have to, now you could change on it.
No, I'm not trying to be difficult,
No, I
but
know,
I mean,
listen, I'm
we did
not.
make a
Listen,
motion saying
We
if
did,
you're gonna
if you did not
participate.
get it right, and I think the motion, you have that motion, specific motion, because that was the discussion, I think
The
most.
motion I have is the one for the stipend. It doesn't have the one that if you
No,
don't
that was
participate,
before.
right, it was before that. If you don't participate.
Right, they don't participate.
I mean, and part of it, Marty, is that,
Well, some are never, okay, let me just explain what I first made. Some people have gone through the evaluation process, they said, we don't want any money in there, we prefer not to take anything. People have gone through that. So, yeah, I'm sorry.
so, but did they fill out the paperwork?
Yes, they did, yes,
Oh.
yes, I'm sorry.
Oh,
Yes, yeah, I'm sorry.
that's not how I
There's only one
interpreted it.
individual that chose not to participate at all. That person's off the book, and that has no well, maybe he has longevity, you have to check on that. It's one individual. I can check on that one. No, we took that off, yeah, okay, we did. Yeah,
Okay,
I'm sorry,
that's a
about that.
different
I'm sorry.
story.
Yeah, I should have said, with the example. Somewhere, there was a couple people on there that not applicable, like those that were hired over the summer, like Tim Mamos in July. We did the Brent Kallstrom they were in as part of that from when we decided from 1 January 22 through, they weren't even in play. So those people aren't even on the process. So most of them have no longevity as well. So we just dropped those from the list of the individuals. So.
In the minutes in August 20th, I made a motion about the stipends. And Lynn seconded, the carried. And then it says timeline, September, all appraisal paperwork to Marty. October, Marty will be with staff. November, the board will discuss the distribution of the remaining 12,000 plus. That's what it says.
And you did discuss it last month, and then Marty started to explain it, and there was some confusion. If you remember, Lynn, that I said, no, but you guys weren't understanding each other. And I know it was at the end, but we explained the formulary process that Marty would come with a document like this. And I know that might have been at the 13th hour. And you had.
Well, but we had previously said we didn't,
Right.
I mean, I know I had said, I'm not sure that a formula is the right way to go. So we didn't actually agree.
I'm just clarifying that
We didn't agree on a
November
formula
comment.
for merit.
No, we didn't, and that's why I said I'd bring one, I would work out the best I could based on the assignments and so on, based on the information that was provided to me by the lawyers verbally. That I had the ability to do this, but I still wanted, that I could just do this, and I said, no, I'm not gonna do this. I understand we had said, and I promised a formula, that's what I took out of my review of all that, so.
We didn't actually promise a formula. You promised us we would have input. We would be able to see the documents. That's what you promised us. We did, and I said, right, you get to sign it. Yes, you are signing it, you are interviewing everyone. That's all your role. But
Okay,
we were supposed to be able to see. Because you're asking us to approve this blind.
Not blind, you have
You're
faith in
blind.
me as.
No, but I mean, but that's not how you
Exactly.
said, that's not how it was set up. When we talked about this during the budget, it wasn't set up that you were gonna do all the work and then we would just, at the very end, approve. That's not how it was
Well, that was,
presented to us.
all right, so I guess the intent of me spending hours going through developing what I thought was an evaluation piece of paper, a document that we could all agree on, and we went through it a couple of times. That was the part about, okay, now we know what we're gonna be evaluated against. We've agreed to the paperwork for that. I guess we're talking different roads here. But I thought we were getting to the same point, was that we would have a process in place through the appraisal evaluation process, including the document that we agreed on would be the basis for the evaluation. And then at that point, then I would take it from there, do the evaluation is my job, and then provide you the formula for how I recommend. Now, if we could change that, again, it's how I recommend it to you. So let me state that. It's not how I ask you to do it. It's what I recommended. So, there you go.
Lynn, can I ask, if you were to see them, would you recommend, if you didn't like the numbers that were assigned or the grades that were assigned, how do you see the process going? Once you see the documents, how do you see us getting to expending those funds?
I just want to have comfort. That's what seeing the documents would give me
And
comfort.
what if you see a document that doesn't provide you comfort, or you have a disagreement with a document? Do you still entrust that Marty works with these people daily, and maybe you have a discussion, but he,
But-
you know?
Yeah, but I was
mean-
hoping we were gonna be able to have a discussion in executive session because of personnel. That I would be able to we would have the ability to bring something up. If we saw something in writing that didn't really jive with our own knowledge of the situation.
But you don't
But I'm
have the
not-
knowledge, that's the point.
But I'm
Every
saying-
executive session, anytime we touch on a person's name, they have to be invited into that meeting. And that is not what this process was all about. It was never intended, meant to be that. So yes, if you want to go that way, then we have to do that, and we'll have this going on for another 2-3 months while everybody has the time to get in here and to participate. And then we open it all up to discussion, and they get to start questioning everything that we've already gone through again, because I think they can break one against the other and pit one select person against the other select person, because maybe that somebody likes it. It doesn't matter. The formula for disaster is written all over that process. I'm sorry, Lynn. Having done this for 40 years or 37 years in the military and seen this process work, there has to be someone at the end who is responsible for the evaluations and the percentage points, whatever it is, which has always been a point in my background. And then that, again, is the basis for what other decisions for promotion, for pay raises, for whatever it goes. It's the final product, and that's the reliance on that person that's in that seat who's elected to do that or appointed to do that, whatever. That's my vision. If that was not articulated properly, then I do apologize for that, but here we are. And I think that opening it up to bringing people in executive session, the minute we touch the.
I understand that drawback. I definitely understand that drawback. Can I ask, were people's job descriptions as part of this process?
They're updating, some are still in the process of updating, some are expanded because of discussions for objectives for the next time around, some things to work on goals for the next year. So yeah, they're all in play. It's definitely.
Because that is, job descriptions is something the Board of Selectmen is responsible for.
Correct.
And it says in the much maligned and not very, whatever, our personnel
Manual,
policy,
yeah.
policy
Policy and procedures.
policy and procedures manual says that this is actually a year when we should have been reviewing job descriptions. So I'm really glad to hear that you went through job descriptions with the people.
Yeah,
I
we
mean,
talked
that's
about
awesome.
having to update. So it's a process that this year we should have all new job descriptions.
But like, we
Yeah, we do,
should
yeah.
know if people's job descriptions need to change. I mean,
Which
that's,
they do. I mean,
Right.
almost every year they.
but I know, but it
Okay.
says in the manual, it should be done every 2 years, and I know it has not been done in recent years. But, so that's why I think it's okay for us to be part of the process. I mean, we do have a role here. I understand what you're saying.
Mhm.
I understand you get to sign off in this, I understand that, but I don't feel, I'm not comfortable proving this part of the thing without being able to see the documentation. And I understand that you may say, well, you can't change anything. But I still would have comfort being able to see the documentation.
How would that work? So if,
We'd have to invite everybody if we do executive session. If we're gonna do an
I mean,
executive session, it's just.
If we just review it and we don't actually ask
It's
any
no question
questions,
about them.
but if we don't ask any questions.
Why wouldn't you ask? I mean, it's a natural thing to want to ask questions, but then that gets into that's the whole point. If people start asking questions and people are gonna be there, there's gonna be people who are gonna want to be there if you're gonna discuss them at all. If you're gonna review something at all, as a selectman, people are gonna want to be there to see it. If it's accepted as part of the administrative performance of the town, that's one thing. But if the board starts looking at them individually, people are gonna want to. I'm just saying, this is during the budget season for simple things.
Well, you could put them all into a shared folder and only the 3 of us have access to the shared folder. And we don't have to meet, we just get to look at it.
Yeah, I don't know.
so you're saying there'd be a shared folder, we just see everything.
View, yeah.
But again, anything that is in a shared folder is accessible to everybody.
No, you can put a shared folder and only have 3 people on it. You don't have to make it available to the public. You don't have to make it available to everybody in the town of Kent's Google workspace.
I have to check how that works for FOIA or anybody else questioning. I just want to.
But you yourself said eventually it's gonna be all.
Correct, when everything's, when everything's in and done, and that may still be another few weeks before we get it all finalized, oh, that word, can you change that word or whatever, this thing, I mean, that kind of stuff, it's always.
That's the operative thing, like eventually this will all be out, but we tonight.
This thing's working down, it's, there's still things that I have to go back with people, but we went over performance, we went over grades and so on, especially a lot of people, I give the department heads the ability to grade their individuals. I don't change the grades on those because it's their responsibility of leadership to have evaluated that, the people that work for them. So there's that, but there's other stuff with people that just, like I said, just went through a couple of them at the end of the week and did not have a chance to write it all up and put it in, change things and add stuff when we had discussions and so on. So some are more effusive, more, some are fairly sparse in some cases. It's all part of the first time around for this first 90 days. So.
The question is, if we don't approve this right now, how could we do this quickly and efficiently? That would make everyone happy here. Can we do that? Sure. That's the question. Can we have a special meeting to do something about this?
December.
Right. So it'll be just this issue. To be a folder that we just see. Bring anyone else in. Not executive, right?
Yeah, we don't have an executive session.
Not executive session. So we're not bringing
Have a special
14
meeting.
people in. I mean, that's not gonna work.
And what would happen at that special meeting?
We'd approve the payment,
After
merit pay.
we see additional information. What would happen if we disagreed?
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
I mean, we'll look at.
I don't, I don't, I'll go back and I'm always gonna go back and look at the formula because I want to make sure, but this is like the 2 billionth edition of how we tried to adjust. I didn't want to just go in straight percentages or just like you said, just divide it by everybody because that's not fair to people, who've achieved more and have done more, that should be recognized more. But yet we wanted to make sure that because this is all, goes towards base, some significant, some isn't, if it's towards someone who's an hourly wage, as we said, might go up maybe $1 or $2 at most, nothing super, but it is going to go to base and it'll change. Some will just be absorbed into a salary. But
To do this quickly, we'd have to have a special meeting. We just see this information and we would still have to trust the process and you, but we get to see some of this information.
yeah, I mean.
And if we disagree, then that's, on what we see, then that's a different story. But I'll trust the process, but then I think we get to see more as a result of this. If I don't even know if this is gonna work. I don't even. But that's the only way it seems to me, is that we meet again quickly and we see some information and then we move on. But I don't know.
Okay. How about we split this now? And because we all agreed the longevity pay was, considered and kind of worked out before. We prove that right now. I'll get with Randy right away, find out all the implications of everything, all right? And then we'll come back and I'll let you guys know soon. We'll set up something and go from there. Let's have that discussion anyway, of procedure. So we don't have to vote on anything, so we can be able to, correspond back and forth and figure out what we need to do and what we can do. And then we set the, whatever parameters we have to do. Okay. That work?
That works.
The longevity is easy. We always said that was relatively,
Yeah.
and then we can get that out. Is that okay with you and Barbara? I mean, if it's not like.
I mean, it can be done.
It can be done. Okay.
Yeah, we've already talked about being
Not
on
doing
doing
the
this
whole-
quickly. Well, this other one have, anything else on the performance appraisal part of it would be worked into the whatever remaining pay periods there are when you're
Yeah.
done. It'll be worked into this, whatever amount.
Oh, so that's not gonna be a lump sum.
No,
Okay.
this goes against the base, so it would be applied over the next 26 pay periods, whatever it is, or halfway through, or whatever. And then, or to somebody's hourly wage, whatever, whatever the position somebody's in. So,
But at least we can get something out now.
Yep.
So that's, we have that.
That still works on the longevity pay, Barbara?
Yeah, I can get that out. I just have a question, though. I'm not really sure if you're all trusting the process, what difference does it make if you see how we got to where this is? I'm confused. I'm not really understanding what the priority is to have everybody look at all the performance reviews.
Well, I mean, I've said it multiple times, I would feel more comfort if I could see them.
I guess it's just not making any sense to me. The process was what the process was.
But the process is also, from my perspective, the process has changed based on what my expectation was as we originally talked about it.
But those were discussions. There was really no motion that said,
And
and so.
shame on us, we should have made a motion.
Right, and so, I mean, and while you're pointing out, and however this ends up, but you're pointing out that meeting, but then Marty can go back and look at last month's meeting where he very specifically said, formulary and different things, and so.
And I said, I don't believe.
I understand, and I understand that there's ebbs and there's flows, and yeah, it's unfortunate though, I was gonna say that this is unfortunate that this process is going on so long. These people are getting $500 over the next 26 weeks, and we're dragging this out. And I understand that you have a right, but you're gonna see the documents anyway and basically entrust Marty that he's made the right decision. And then maybe later you can, if you have a concern with an employee, you can bring it up to Marty and or that employee. But I think in the spirit of resolving this issue, it's not like you're awarding these people an extra $5,000 a year. I don't think there's anybody that works here that shouldn't get $500 based on their performance, because if they didn't deserve anything, they wouldn't be here. We would be, handling it differently. And I understand your comfort level, and I understand that you will see the documents. But in the spirit of this, I think that we're just spinning our wheels here.
But we didn't drag things out. I've got to say that Glenn and I did not drag things out. We tried to go.
I agree. I understand that it's been a long, I'm not pointing fingers, I'm just saying that.
But I think our responsibility is to the taxpayers, and the taxpayers entrusted us to deal with this process. And they approved $12,500, brand new line that had never ever been included in the town of Kent budget before.
No, so months before, there was a similar thing.
Well,
But, right, I understand, it's not a normal process.
right.
I agree. That was just my 2 cents, I'm sorry.
No, that's okay.
Okay. You got Linda? Make the motion. Do you have any?
I will make a motion that we award the longevity pay as outlined in this chart to those individuals who qualified.
Second.
Any more discussion? No discussion? Okay, all in favor of awarding the longevity pay as prescribed in the chart that the Board of Selectmen came up with? Michelle? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. All right. Then I will take this back to this. And figure out where we go. Okay. And if you can
If you could, again, if you could resolve it really quickly, I don't mind a special meeting to do it. I don't,
Sooner.
as opposed to waiting until the next regular meeting.
I agree. Have a meeting with the lawyers.
At least we could try.
But anyway, sure. Okay, moving on, fire department update, I gave you a quick information. Long and short, with the inspection of John, if you're still there, John, you still on? John, still there?
Screen sharing, I can't see, hold on. No.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, we had two, we actually started in June, as you mentioned, last year, with the fire department, when we discussed the whole EMS staffing issue, post our, budget issue, so we felt we needed to sit down. October 9th, town of Kent KVFD discussions, these were proposed by the fire department themselves. And to meet some of the questions we had within our previous meetings, such as expenses, staffing expenses, costs and service contract, unbilled calls, ambulance yearly revenues, and so on, high watch call and billing data, when you were, concerned about that. So I think we've discussed possibly some of those discussions. We did have an explanation on the high watch call and the billing data, about 20%. I think Gene's explanation got into the specifics, but it was also talking about the percentages of the calls, which is about 20%. There's no other additional information that we had discussed on that. I just noted that since High Watch has gone to a level 4 detox, there was more potentially it had been, I guess, more calls for people in in a medical situation and so on. And that got into the medical 4 payments to the town, which we thought were reducing. There's a lot of explanations for why that's called calls that go to Dutchess versus Medic 4, which is in Connecticut. Medic 4 being called off, paramedic being called off when someone doesn't want it, or the situation called for it. So, but also we still aren't totally. I think we're still working on some of the outlying issues with the Medic 4 program, the whole paramedic programs that we have. I think the fire department is looking at that as well because of some of the issues and questions they had between Dutchess and the Medic 4 coming out of New Vance down south. So the cost of the new service contract, we did talk about the cost of the new service contract. Barbara did some calculations based on just how many calls and the cost per month and so on, or staffing calls, excuse me, and the charges, staffing expenses. It looks to be somewhere between 65 to, I guess, outside $80,000 additional than the 320 that we had allocated in the budget. So we keep talking about that. We're not sure where we're going. I know that this past week, last week, during the Board of Finance meeting, the KVFD people and the EMS came to discuss that a little bit.
They had a long
They had a very long
discussion.
discussion meeting. I'm not sure how much came to it. More was informational, I think.
What came out of it though was that, what I walked away thinking was that Nancy, the Wyrick, expressed strong support for helping the fire department with its administration.
Right.
And I wondered if you guys had actually talked about that.
We can just look right over November 12th. That was the first, that's before this meeting, we had that talk. And I did have a talk with Nancy and let her know we had talked about that. So just to finish up, KVF unbilled calls, we did talk about the issue with some of the billing, that I think we've become, at least, information on the commercial unbilled calls that the EMS group and KVFD needed to work on. And then we looked at that best model for Kent EMS services. What is the best way for them to ensure that they do get the bills out for when the responders go out, that they finish up the paperwork and then it's sent to the, I think the bookkeeper right now to submit to the billing company that actually bills the insurance for the calls and so on. That's something I know they're working on. I think there's some changes coming up within the EMS structure of KVFD. I've heard that. I don't know exactly who's going to be doing what, but I think there's some changes to that. So that kind of kicked us into the.
So wait,
Sorry.
they sort of alluded to this billing. So are there calls that have like, they dropped and they haven't billed for?
Approximately 140. but they've working with that.
That's a quarter of their call.
Well, yeah, there was some, and there was some reasons that some of those were unfinished calls that came back on that they didn't
They did
bill.
transport.
And a lot of it is paperwork. I think it did transport it. So there's some of that, but there was approximately, a number in that range that they're working on. So that came into the formalize our business and support relationships developed by an MOA and MOU. The November 12th, those are these 5 areas were the ones that I offered up. And I think the EOC room is one that was added by John Russell at the end. But we talked about better ways to do that. So we understood, since we are the investor in their EMS company and the corporation KVFT, that we should really look at how we regenerate the whole idea of having a board of some sort of board of investors, which is similar to the board of directors, to overlook management styles and processes, not to be specific to how they actually do the run, how they do training, anything in the operations of the KVFT, but better understanding and support to them. We're busy as the numbers, are gone down a little bit. Their calls, in some cases are going up. The ability to answer calls are crazy. So they spend a lot of time organizing themselves, training and so on. But it gets back to what has been discussed for years. I know you reported, I think I went back and read some of it. Idea that we, together between the fire department and the town, build a board of directors kind of thing, board of I call them board investors, because really it's investment from the town that we get together, we look at processes and help the fire department as well as the town understand and implement a more improved process, give them support in areas that may not be as familiar with, especially in billing, management, how to work with the EMS company and the corporations that they hire. There's some, just some coordination issues that might be there, especially doing long-term contracts and things like that nature. Again, just to understand, again, their process. Obviously, they're a separate corporation. I respect that and respect the work that they do, showing up in fires and responding to ambulance calls. But there's a business process. The town is, we have that fiduciary responsibility as investors of over $500,000, almost year to year, plus equipment and so on. So that really, we need to look at that, make sure that we protect that. So that's kind of what we're talking about. So I had in a conversation to our town attorney about helping to develop an MOA, MOU, so that we define specific rights and responsibilities and so on. Don't touch, everybody agrees to what we're looking for. And then from there, look at how we can put together this board of some sort, how we would look, how it make up of maybe people from, maybe one of us here, but certainly people from the town, people from the fire department, maybe retired folks, whatever it may be. And everybody gets to figure out exactly the numbers, not a lot, maybe 4 or 5 people max, and then just have that oversight. So that's really, I think, model we all kind of been talking about. And I think, I don't want to speak for John and the fire department or Alan, but I think that there's some room for some movement to get to that point.
That was not clearly explained in that same way to the Board of Finance.
Right, I know.
The Board of Finance was talking about like, maybe you need some advisors and it was like, no, they don't need advisors, they need help with the business aspects. They need to be able to focus on doing the emergency calls.
Unfortunately, I couldn't make that.
Yeah, no, but I mean, it's something the fire department, in the 21 years I was in there, we've wrestled with, and they still haven't resolved it because they talked about going to a board of directors and they didn't move forward with it. And that was after I left, but I think what you're saying makes a lot of sense. I hope that the very independent and volunteer fire department membership does not resist it.
And that's why we're trying to.
Because they have in the past.
I understand that. People have ideas, a lot of changes, but it's critical. I know well, just look at their numbers and what they've all said about, how they're trying to struggle to do things. They're taking more responsibilities. The great showing of the KVFD at the Southbury and Oxford floods that occurred back here, but there's swift water there. Even the state is looking to try to regenerate. I mean, it was kind of perplexing that the state didn't realize that the capabilities that these towns like Kent had with swift water, right next to water. Okay.
They don't give the volunteers enough credit
Yeah.
It's all about the paid services, and they don't realize how many of these towns are operating
Yeah,
with volunteers and operating well.
Well, and exactly, and the experience that they had from the ice dam and all the way through even to this last
Yeah.
time. So, and I know Alan's been working with other fire department chiefs around. I got to peek in on one of their meetings briefly. And they're all talking about how they can again reinforce and do the mutual aid piece to do that, but also doing a regional swiftwater rescue system, using some of the experience and the equipment we have. So those are good
They're
things.
already doing.
Right, they're doing, yeah, right, they're doing it, yeah, informally, but getting with the state and going with those guys to get that going.
Well, they have formal agreements on Swiftwater. They do have formal agreements, maybe not with the state of Connecticut.
Well, that's what I'm
but
saying with the state, correct?
Yeah,
No, they do, right, exactly, and, but they're trying to actually get a regional one that's recognized by the state. That might actually get some support financially,
Yeah,
who knows, it would be nice.
Wisconsin.
Exactly. So we continue talking about EMA staffing, funding and follow-on management, and that kind of, we got into the, again, support management piece. Apparatus funding process and ownership. Digging up through records and so on, I saw that the old engine one, and we had an agreement with the chief at the time to understand who owns what with responsibility, that every apparatus that was bought is funded, it's insured and so on, and equipped and operated by the fire department. But upon any dissolution of the fire department, it would come back to us. So that's one of the things I've had Barbara doing lately is to go through all the records and make sure everything that we funded at some point, that we have that agreement. We actually signed the paperwork saying the fire department recognizes that if there was any dissolution of KVFD Corporation, that the equipment would come back to the town. And this is
And
something.
you guys did find that for the firehouse, right?
Okay. Well, yes, we did find out in the
Yeah.
firehouse. We go back in the firehouse and it gets into the part of the ambulance board thing too is, yes, the property, we went through how the property was joined, two different pieces, so that it didn't have kept manufacturing property. So we went all through that stuff, but the firehouse is there, right? It's the property that retained by the fire department itself. Not the building is a town's properties. There's ambulance board, same thing. We can continue to have that. So we want to, kind of fix that as well. What's that?
It's like the community house.
Exactly.
Oh, it's
It's
surrounded
not
by
how-
town, by congregational church land.
Yeah, that's a crazy part of it. So, yeah. So that gets back to Adams Barn and gravel parking lot agreement. I proposed before, and I had some more discussions and talk about that. And when we look at that whole corner of Swift Lane, I know you guys are already working on the Swift House. But the Adams Barn is kind of the white elephant in the sense of where do we go with that? I said, I'd be willing to take to you guys, talk about turning it over if they can do something with affordable housing for specific, or with the housing, so there's workers' housing, not workforce, so that we don't get into problems with an affordability issue instead of, focusing on support for the fire department. There's some things that I think even Justin Potter said there's some issue with some of that. And that's part of why they can get funding for one piece and so on. So that would be all part of our understanding what our relationship would be and how we would do that.
So for clarity, I
Yep.
just want to make sure I understand,
Absolutely.
are you thinking the ambulance barn would be for volunteers who live in the town of Kent?
Yes, that's
For
what we'd like to
volunteer
do for
fire-
the fire department, for
okay.
like two departments, but it really would be, we have to take that, I mean, if it's something would be done with the barn, been there, and you know you have in the past, and I just recently.
Years.
I haven't changed, so we got
It's
there.
gotten worse.
It's not bad, but the best part would be to take it down and build something prefab or whatever, I mean, that would be something, so that, but right now, everything we find is the town owns the barn and the property is part of what was considered fire department property. There is the one piece I'm saying Darlene showed me, it says the codicil has not been used in ambulance services for 3 consecutive years in perspective of the town.
And that,
So we want to.
and that was the reason why they didn't wanna, originally when the fire department opened the new firehouse, they didn't wanna give up that gravel lot because they
Yeah.
were supposed to use it every 3 years.
Right. Right, they had to use it
So,
for 3
yeah.
years. So that gets, so that hasn't happened, we know, but we want to, I mean, we can, I think we can make that recommendation to the board and we look at it in the town and that's a transference of something that's useful more for part of the town. I'm not gonna do with it. If we should just take it down and make it a parking lot, but that's the idea. Now, it's the next thing that we had, I brought to them. That gravel parking lot is a gravel parking lot. But it has potential in a co-use situation where the fire department continue to have ownership, but the town would look to find funding to pave that and make it into an actual municipal parking lot, which is something the town doesn't have. We can't direct people to parking in safer areas. They're parking in people's driveways, the town center, people park there and then don't ever go to the town center. There's no parking for people who want to go to the town center, maybe the shoe store or whatever. So I think if we would have that and then look at potentiality of moving parking towards the commons for parks and recreation, I get the S in, that there may be some ability to move parks down there and then open up more parking or the areas that are parked in that dirt area right in front of the tennis courts back into green space and actually have a parking area around where that circle is, where you could, terminate the parking there, turn around, and then also have parking into the senior center, because a lot of people don't park there, they park right at Swift Lane. On the 6th, I went and spoke at the senior center at lunch, and it was quite a good crowd, but there were people parking all over the place there, and the fire department went down just to get a truck down. I guess they were planning on going down, turning around and back out because of just the way it is. So it would, the potential again to co-use with the fire department having, prime use of it anytime they needed it, would own it, would kind of only try to work with it and do something that would expand the municipal parking area. So on. So anyway, that's some of the discussions and that's, I think they're taking it back to they're going to chew on that and see what we do with that and take it back to the membership and see what they think about that idea of actually, co-working with the town to have that. So we'll see. EOC room in the firehouse, we moved the emergency operations center back over here upstairs in the break room. And it works there, but we don't have intense, but there's still some things we need to work on. So I know the fire department would like to get the room back if they can get it back, use it totally. But right now, because we still need, in case we have to dual use antennas and stuff, we don't have any here. We have just communications with walkie-talkies back and forth. We need to get the antennas back that we had. There's one that somehow LCD ended up with, and we can't really, it was an agreement, I think, verbally from one of the previous first selectmen, we put it that way. And so regardless, the antenna that was supposed to be dedicated to the EOC is not in operation. There's ways we can look at dual use of antennas itself, but to do that, I think it's good to have EOC here. Anyway, in the interim, John has asked us to really look at what we're going to do with what the town really wants. It was a town room agreed to when the firehouse was put in play with the KVFD. I only asked that when we moved over for many reasons to move the EOC over here, that we just hold on to that room for whatever, in case we had to go back, it would be a place we could go and wouldn't be anybody's way. They've asked the technology temporarily move in there, Jean with some of her work. And so we're like, no problem, that's just moving things in and out. And they put some of the stuff that's there, John asked, there's some stuff left over that we don't have room for here. It's useful there, cabinet stuff, some other things that we're just gonna put away. So right now we'll keep that EOC room under the auspices of the town, but let them use it as we can and see where we go from there, see if we can work some of the additional items like that. We have a meeting scheduled for December again. Back in the right time, I apologize, but we're going to continue meeting every month and try to work through some of these and parent and actually get some things forward. That's partly why I'm talking to our lawyer again on Thursday to see if we can't find some outlines from MOUs and MOAs and start the discussion fiscally to set up a relationship and then look at what we could do with proposals for board of investors or whatever we want to call it.
So
yeah.
Have they invited you to come and talk to the membership at all?
Not yet. We'll see. I'm talking, John and Alan is there. Eric is there as treasurer often. Bonnie Nunzella hasn't been there a lot. She's had some other issues.
Because they are a true democracy, and the membership decides all these big things.
Yeah. Well, you understand.
Yeah.
I'm just trying to find ways that we can set up some area groups so when we go to talk, we're in concert, with what we all think what we want to ask them for. Yeah. So I know I understand.
I hope that works.
I don't know. Let's see. I mean, there's some older, there's thoughts and positions are taken, but I'm hoping we can understand it together, work together, and we're working together on this and trying to work through some other issues. But, we're talking and that's the important part, so, yeah. It can be a little bit more of a process, but I think, we all have something this year. I'm hoping in 2025.
So did
Okay.
you get into any details about like, are there services, like administrative type services that the town might be able to help with?
We haven't, that's part of what I think we'll start staffing an MOU, give them a chance
Yeah.
to say, we could use some help here. How do we do that? That's kind of where I wanted to go with an MOA or MOU, agreement, mostly the agreement of where we fit in like, between the town and them. Because they are an independent, again, we keep saying they're an independent corporation, they are. So we have to be invited in at some point. Yeah, we can recommend stuff, but someone said we do have power of the purse, but we want to use that smartly, and we're not gonna be, there's no negativity to that, but because we have the purse, we have to be fiscally responsible on how it's worked out, so that's, any questions, some questions, so that's kind of where we are with the fire department and some of our discussions so far.
I am a little concerned that the Board of Finance members who were at that meeting didn't really get a full depth view of what you just talked about. So.
I
I just
understand. I went
putting that
back,
out
I read
there.
that, I went back,
Yeah.
watched it,
Yeah,
we're gonna continue to work, obviously, we'll continue to talk, but as we go into budget season, the Board of Finance needs to be asking some of these same questions, or working with us to make sure we understand where our relationship's going and how we, financially can be smart about it, how to work together, so.
yeah, I think we need to make sure that maybe, I think I suggested this before, but maybe we have a joint meeting.
Yeah.
Early on in the budget process
Yeah,
with the
That's a
Board
great
of Finance and the Board of Selectmen, with the officers of the fire department.
I think that's a great idea.
Because-
They're our biggest, our investment in their, our biggest,
I was,
part,
I'm sorry, I didn't do it.
I'm sorry, no.
I was pleased, I mean, because I'm a veteran, they still have me on their email. They are moving, they've moved up their decision-making, like with things like the capital plan and stuff like that. And a few years ago, they were dragging their heels and it was like, so I think that it wouldn't be that out of the question to ask them to come very early in the budget process, because I think they will be ready for
Yeah,
it.
I agree. And I agree, and this is kudos again to Barbara for actually working it earlier in the process, because we've all been dancing,
Yeah.
staff have been dancing to get some of the capital plan process that we've met with a bunch of people to look at, exactly how we could make the presentation to you all, but how the town needs to look at it. So everybody's done it, and Barbara's been talking to everybody as well. So that if there are any questions or any thoughts about how they might change something or move things, it's being worked on now so that the explanations can be ready to go. We're not dragging your feet. So that when we get into the budget hearings, we actually.
Yeah, Alan was very frank about the fact that fire apparatus is just skyrocketing,
Huge. Yeah.
like way beyond even he would have thought of 5 years ago.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, and you can imagine the same thing with Rick in the the equipment and so on. He's staggered sometimes when he's trying to look at down the line where he's going to try to buy a new piece of equipment, and they're getting older and older because you can't afford the new stuff, and then just the cost of stuff. Whereas I went to Eversource today, but anyway, costs across the board are just going crazy. So.
and has there been any discussion with the fire department of, other than what you've already mentioned about regionalization?
I haven't had any discussions with them. I know they're talking about it, but it hasn't been there in my wheelhouse yet, so.
And has it come up at COG at all? Because it really should.
No.
Council of Governments should be talking about this. Everybody's having the same issues.
Yeah, it hasn't come up to COG. COG has been a lot of the towns in the COG, not most, but quite a few towns are worried about their municipal solid waste right now. So it tends to take a lot of the time of the meetings we have, which are supposed to be an hour, they don't ever last an hour. So some of that, when I get to municipal solid waste, I kind of put it on pause, run out and do some other things, and So, but no, they haven't had it on their agenda in a while, actually, in as far as that. I haven't, the RPT met the other day and I missed the thing. I have to go back and get the reports, but even in Demis and other stuff, haven't really talked about pushing it. I think they're waiting to hear what the fire department's going to do.
Well, see, I think that's where it needs to come from the fire department.
Correct.
You
Yeah,
know,
that's what I
and
think.
they
that's
are
the job.
so independent,
Right, yeah.
but they have to start thinking differently. It's like you're talking
The
about.
mutual aid piece to it. They talk about it and they do use it quite a bit. I mean, you know, in actuality, when the fire whistle goes off, nobody
But the
answers on
EMS
that.
stuff is not the same.
That's a piece.
The
that's
EMS
it.
is not looked at the same. And we are unusual in that we have such high volume.
Yeah, right.
So-
You're absolutely right. That was mentioned. I mean, I heard that in discussions, but it hasn't really gelled in any formal discussions with us or me anyway, or anyone else that I know of here.
You gotta, it would be great if you could initiate some discussions with the other first selectmen because
Yeah.
they
no,
have to be
definitely.
worrying about
Yeah.
the same things.
Yeah, no, we have-
You know, maybe not at the same level as us, but.
They have a cost legislative session coming up Thursday. I'm gonna try to listen in on it. Yeah, excuse me, we're still talking grants and support for the small towns and business development and so on, all the integrated to housing. So a part of that is the support to all that, which is, the fire districts, fire support. Every town, they all say that, everybody knows that, every fire department is getting smaller, less, volunteers and so on, but it's just kind of a clucking and.
But they just have to come up with some new, it's literally thinking of new ways to
Address.
to address it, to like structure the fire departments. I mean, we've always said the geography is our biggest impediment in the northwest corner, but figure out some ways of doing it.
Right.
You know,
And yeah,
because, I mean, we can't keep affording to
exactly.
be doing it all by ourselves.
Exactly, and you see the cost just even this year rising, when we thought we had stepped up with the 320 this year, that was one of the first concerns is, wow, if the issue was that the staffing early on, we didn't get that, relayed to us during budget season, that's kind of part of it. But, we're working through that and we're, improving our, working in a relationship.
Yeah, so the one thing I did get the fire department officers to talk about at that Board of Finance meeting was, how many EMTs do you have? They did talk about that. There are 10 EMTs that are doing 52% of the call.
Yeah, it's
10.
unsustainable.
Well, they've been doing it amazingly for the last few years. I don't know how these people are able to do that, but
John looks awful tired, Mary Ann looks awful tired. Yeah,
I know, but,
And they're trying to keep the cost down, for what the,
Right. So, I mean,
staffing costs.
the one thing they did, Jason was on a tear of coming up with interesting ideas. And, he said, there's nothing wrong with, you should think about like doing a little recruitment at a town meeting. I know the town meeting, public hearings and town meeting, I know you can shake your head, but you get a lot of people together in one room. It's a captive audience for a few fire department members to explain, what does it really mean to be a fire department member? Can you give some time to this very worthwhile organization? And now you're getting to the point where you can actually say, one person equals this much money that a town would save.
Right.
So,
Or do it, there's ways to skin that cap, is it? Yeah, certainly a way to do it.
yeah, we gotta think differently.
We think it all. Okay, right, I wanted to make sure you did it, so, in old business house, Swiss House Play, I saw you guys,
Yeah, unfortunately, I haven't heard from Mary Dunn. I actually sent her an email yesterday saying, should I submit without you reviewing it?
yeah.
I mean, I think she was on vacation last week, so I'll try to get an answer. Otherwise, I'm just gonna.
Okay, keep doing that, right?
I will need to, I'm gonna have to basically bring my computer in and you have to like officially
Sure.
sign it
Sign it.
electronically.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, social media policy update. We took a lot of what you did, Lindsay, and cut out a lot of what I did, trying to streamline. Pretty good, I mean, I got way too in the weeds, I recognize that. We did a pretty full meeting, but we did the weeds. So anyway, Darlene is out this week. We pulled this together. I know that there's some still comments and questions that come in. We'll continue to work on this, I think. Any other comments you have on that, I think?
Well, I understand the idea of streamlining it, but I'm worried that you streamlined it so much that it's not gonna be that helpful to somebody who's in a department or in a commission that wants to try to follow the policy. I mean, part of my reason was I wanted to make sure that there was like, okay, this is what you need to do, X, Y, Z, you know? And that's what kind of lost, I think, with this, so.
I think we can get implementation to that. I've looked at some of the other policies and there are some things that we can pull in that, you know, can get to the point you're talking about. I think one of the things we've talked about is putting everything under the town's umbrella so that no one's out there with their own email or their own financial backing, their own website to set up that. Right now, I think social services, a lot of what Samantha does, she's done under her own, at least Facebook accounts and so on, and we certainly don't want that.
Well, the problem is, Marty, with Facebook is you have to start with your own personal in order to start a page.
That's not necessarily so, as we're finding out that we can do it under the town of and have pages underneath that.
But you still have to have access into Facebook.
Correct, but that can be granted, we have to, so the people that I've talked to, and I'm not an expert, have said that you can build it that way. You can build underneath the town of, you can build departments or commissions and so on. They have their own sub-page basically under the town's page. And that provides the oversight. That's what I'm understanding. So that's what we're trying to look at to define the process of how people are doing. They still have the your sub-admins and so on that the people that would post within the department or commission or whatever themselves. So they wanted to go through we're trying to keep a lot of the bureaucracy and everything goes to Darlene or everything goes to someone else to do it. Still the individuals have the access to do that. That's what I'm understanding. You just need to.
Okay, so Darlene doesn't want to be an administrator on different
She
pages?
overall on the towns of, but underneath would be, still should be left as some admin people to the page itself underneath. That's what I'm understanding. Now, I still have to see all that laid out, and that's why I'm waiting for Darlene to come back and actually show me what she's looking at and thinking of doing that, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
More to go.
Yeah.
And then implement.
It's not right, but maybe if maybe just an idea of me, and I know from my email conversations with Joyce that you guys are really taking a hard look at the whole sort of personnel policy and procedures manual,
Yeah.
but maybe there's a procedure for social media it's different from the actual policy.
Correct, that's the piece that I wanna make sure that has all those steps, like, so the specificity of how you do it, because what, it's like, you know, that's the thing that I think when I looked at others in Choptic, I think crossed the lines, across or actually across the streams, whatever. Yeah, no, that was Ghostbusters. But anyway, it caused more problems with that. But yes, there has to be a procedure for the policy. Okay, speed enforcement ordinance set town meeting date. So we have this Friday. I will have the presentation. They sent me a presentation, I looked at it, and I had a question back, but I'm waiting for Brandon to send back more information, but really good, it's a pretty well laid out PowerPoint on how everything is done. What we've done at the end, now, did you guys get the other, the data trackers information, that better presentation? No, it's like it came out, I got it.
It's just, I mean, it's small.
Because there were two of them, and in my folder, and
I
I
printed it
Still-
out, it's still impossible to read. That's, that's at like actual size.
Because there was one that came up like that, and then the second page had one that was full page. Okay. All right, I'll look at it again, I'll get someone to look at this and see if they can't figure out why I can't get that sent out.
Well, did they give you this document?
Yeah, they prepared it based on the specific, I can give
Maybe
you.
just tell them, I give it to you at a higher resolution,
Right,
because it's very small resolution, it's like 96.
Yeah, we'll see what yeah, it's 96.
Yeah, so, and it only measures like 3 inches across.
If I look at it, you know.
But it's different, it's, if you
Anyway.
look at it on your screen and it's
Yeah,
different.
different than what it prints
Yeah,
out.
it's different.
Yeah.
All right.
So anyway, can you send us I just
Yes.
love to be able to see it.
Yeah, I know you will, I've got it for
Okay.
you before.
And can we do another email blast with some kind of graphic? I mean, it'd be awesome if we could have a graphic like this that says, this is how fast people are going, but if that's not possible, some kind of graphic to grab people's attention and say, hey, here's your chance to come out and talk about the speed.
I think I'm hearing a lot of jive on it.
I know, but I mean,
Yeah, we can put another
Yeah.
note out there. Something.
And
And
in
grab-
regards to the, I know I was pushing for Friday, but it's the St. Andrew's Handles Messiah that night.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, it's at 8 o'clock start, so if we, I mean, I know I said we should do 7 o'clock.
Ooh, at
But I
this
think
point,
that's
we
too
can't
tight.
change it. No, I don't think.
Why
can.
can't we?
Can we change it?
Yeah, I mean, we haven't set the date yet.
No, we're talking about this Friday.
No, I'm talking about
sixth.
the
Oh,
6th.
sixth.
I'm talking about the 6th.
Oh, sorry, okay.
So I think either we should do it on Thursday or at
that's
7,
what we
or
said.
we should do it a little bit earlier on Friday, because that's a major event for a church in our town.
Earlier on Fridays, he's here for.
I think, well, I was gonna say, because I've confirmed with the registers and the town clerk, they're available on Friday.
Friday, yeah, I have to look at.
I haven't confirmed their availability on Thursday, so, I mean, if you want to just, you know.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think.
Try fix it on the sixth.
And we just, if people say anything, we'll say, well, we wanted to make sure that Handles Messiah didn't get
Yeah,
infected.
exactly. Vote for us early and then decide. Yeah, we'll see, yeah.
I know, it's hard because you're getting into the holiday,
Yeah,
you know,
trying to find
things,
time,
things
yeah.
are happening.
Okay, so, set the town meeting date, you want to set the town meeting date for 6 o'clock on the 6th of December, 6th of December. Oh, 6, no.
Make sure you bold that one,
Yeah.
bold, 6 P.M. start.
Yeah, we will make.
Oh, and then we're probably gonna have to open up the doors early for the registrars, right?
Now for, this Friday, we'll have, I think, Zoom up, right? We said that, so we're trying to get this all fixed too, drag them off, put them here, but yeah, I'll tell them about that in a bit more. Okay, so you want to 6 P.M. on the 6th of December, Friday the 6th, okay? Good. Motion, I'll make a motion to do that. No, wait.
First of all,
We have to.
we have to schedule a special meeting on
Special
Monday or
meeting.
Tuesday, because I have to put the agenda together, and you need to approve the agenda so that I can post it for the
What-
town meeting
Right, one of the reasons that
this coming Monday or Tuesday.
we're looking on the agenda is that we have Rick and part of his support to his ARPA funding and his LoCIP funding. And we have to look at if we're talking to the auditors, everything else. Barbara, are you there? Make sure this mistake is she's still there?
Yes, I'm sorry, though. I was not listening. What's the question?
It's okay. No, we want to extreme what we're trying to do with Rick with the LoCIP funding and why we may or may not have to do that in the actual meeting on the 6th of December.
Oh, the LoCIP requirement is that the project has to be part of the approved capital plan. And as long as it's part of the approved capital plan, then the LoCIP money is already allocated. We just have to send in a notification to the state of Connecticut to tell them what project in our capital plan we're using that funding for.
Right, but we trying to figure out if and maybe you found out, the auditor was gonna let us know whether or not we had the authority based on our other previous, beginning of the year, last January, I believe, at the town meeting, right, where we authorize the town to encumber funds and so on if they're in the plan. Does it cover that, or do we have to have another motion?
Well, let me reach out to him again tomorrow, but
Okay.
I don't believe that, he didn't get back to me in writing, but I'm pretty sure that you don't have to do it. You don't have to get an additional appropriation for it.
Okay. All right, then we wouldn't, it's not additional money, it's just appropriate, we'd have to vote on it. If we don't have to vote on it, then we may have to throw that in on the town meeting as an additional thing like we do with a lot of other, the pro
Well,
forma.
when you say throw it in, the meaning we would have to reapprove the capital plan?
No,
No,
no.
you have to make a motion to expend the LoCIP money with the rest of the capital project. He doesn't have enough money in the capital project, so he needs LoCIP money. We'd have to make a motion at the town meeting to encumber or to use those LoCIP funds
Fund.
for that capital project, which is what Barbara's gonna check with the
The capital
auditor.
project is.
The town garage,
Which is, roofing and everything else, which
And
is.
the reason that we have to put it on this town meeting is because the estimates, Rick has only have a 90-day window for approval. And so we can't wait till January because those contracts, he needs to pick one, but he doesn't have enough money to pick one yet.
Okay.
So that's why we need to do it sooner rather than later.
We did already have the
In packages.
the bid package is open and all that kind of stuff, we just have to get the money to actually pay for it.
Okay,
And
but,
that's part of the,
okay, but we would need to be able to present information about this. We can't just hit people with this. It would need to be, the plan would need to be put
yeah,
up.
it's already in the capital
So,
plan,
but
so,
I'm-
yeah.
But the details, what does this mean? What is spending this much money on the town garage mean? What are they gonna do? We need to put that out before the meeting. People need to be able to see the details. Okay,
Right.
very important. Otherwise,
That's
they'll
why
get
we're-
mad at us and say, why are you trying to do this so rush, It's
We
like,
can explain that, but I understand what you're saying, but we're trying to figure out whether we need to do this.
I
If we
understand.
don't, so we don't want to tell
I understand.
anybody about it and then pull it back,
I
that's even more
understand.
crazy. I got you. I'm with you.
Mhm.
Okay, anyway, so that's that explanation for why we need a special meeting, and we can do that on Zoom, but, we're just gonna be.
It's a 5-minute meeting.
Yeah.
Because I'll have the agenda ready, you just have to approve the agenda so I can officially warn it.
Okay.
So it's Monday or Tuesday,
Next week.
5 minutes on Zoom. Tell me what works for you guys.
It's gotta be late afternoon.
It doesn't matter to me, I mean, I don't care when, whatever works.
Yeah, it's on Zoom, so you just do it from, so whatever, Monday or Tuesday.
I'm on the road Tuesday. Monday's easier.
I can,
Right, this Monday.
I can do it at 4.
4? Yeah, that's right, yes.
So this Monday at 4.
Yeah, 4, yeah, it's, I just go to my funeral, go to that, so. Perfect,
4 o'clock.
or on Monday. We need a motion for the special meeting. 4 o'clock on Monday, or the 7th.
We'll approve it all at that meeting, but you
Okay.
And you'll know about the whole town garage thing by then?
Yeah.
Yeah, because Barbara's gonna ask
Okay.
the auditor tomorrow,
Yeah.
and so then that way I'll have the agenda ready and I'll have time to warn the meeting for Monday, because I need time to be able to warn that, so that's why that's the earliest I can do that.
Economic Development Committee. I know we're.
Want me to go, or you want to go? You can go first, or,
I've just been, again, bringing it up to the COG to, where's the Blanca, is the name right? Where's the Blanca? And we haven't really moved any past that, but the idea now, the thought would be to, start, like we're doing with the others is to figure out, who's interested, and I think, it's not a rush that we have to decide and maybe have some ideas. I know you've been looking at, I saw your report, so
Yeah.
you've been looking at other areas, decide how you want to organize it and who you might want to handpick to bring in.
Sorry.
Your horse didn't come in.
Trying to add some to my calendar and it didn't go where I wanted it to.
Anyway, so, yeah, okay, so that's, I have, it's just,
Yeah, I mean, this is just something that, I mean, it was fun just going on to different websites and seeing what what their mission statement is, how many, is it a board, is it a commission, how many people are on it, who's on it? So, I mean, Washington, Litchfield, Milford, Goshen, I got a ton of others, I just didn't put them in the report. But I did speak with Michelle Gora, who is the coordinator, for the EDC coordinator in Washington. And we chatted for a little bit. And, they have 11 other members. The Board of Selectmen is on there. They have someone from the Planning Committee, Board of Finance, other volunteers. They meet via Zoom once a month. They do have a budget. They do have
How big?
55,000,
A year?
55,000 a year.
Does that include your salary?
Nope.
Ah.
Nope. She has salary and she's part-time and so and she said they are well-funded, so they do a lot. And what they do is, they work with their business association, they promote small business, events, certainly, the arts, housing, she says she does a lot with housing. But the Explore Washington here, that website, which is beautiful. Yeah, this is a great website, but they do quite a bit. And so as I was talking with her, especially I was asking her about the business association, like what does that do? What do you do? Like, how do you coordinate? And they do quite a bit of coordination. So you've been to the chamber meetings, of course. I was last year's President Lyons, everything. And Sarah, my wife, was running that for a while. So I've been involved with our chamber for quite some time. And so after my conversation just yesterday about this with her, I just thought, how could what would it look like here? Like, how would we work with our chamber? Like, how would it work? So this is. Have we ever had this before in this town? An economic development? Yeah. So this is brand new. And so anyway, just for me personally, this was just fun to talk to her, and she told me to talk to the Diane Rapp in Litchfield and a few others. But it's interesting to see what towns do, and so the next time around when we meet, I'll probably have like budgets of various places and what I'll have some more data instead of just mission statements. What were you? I mean, you brought this up last time. So what's on your mind?
And Connie mentioned it tonight, that, the Litchfield County Housing Authority and the Kent Land Trust, but not just them, but some other organizations have gotten together and looked at the conservation and affordable housing relationship and how that can be a positive for both of the organizations and mutually developmental support. My thought was going back to, I believe you were at that meeting too, at the Celebrate Forum. Did you go to the one where they had the
Yes, I did.
conservation?
Yeah.
I thought so. And they had economic development in there.
Yeah.
And since then it's kind of dropped off. But obviously, in our town here with real growth and just businesses and potential opportunities, if there's going to be housing development, which they're now starting a nascent group over here is looking at the property behind us, that affordable housing and conservation, great, but we also have business opportunities. And we have things like the industrial zone out of Maple Street, it's brownfields. We need to look at how we develop that. Can we get that back going? We have some small businesses that are out there, but they're kind of, no sewer, no water. So they're limited in what they can actually do. Is there things we could do that would promote, that kind of a business development, small, small manufacturing or small, it means small, not looking for any smokestack manufacturing, but there are ways we can do with electronics and support to other businesses and as well as HR businesses, IT businesses and so on, to look at that to kind of, enhance what we have in this town, bring opportunities for young families potentially come in that could, see as a career, a place to be here. So they have to be the housing piece, not just affordable, but the market rate. So I looked at how economic development would be the third leg of that stool and help, support the whole growth of everything. Housing, affordable housing, I like to say the housing is affordable, but hopefully it'll be affordable. And the conservation side of it as well as the, so that's kind of what I looked at. And I've been over to Washington and I was always feeling, looked around and just saw, the state doing opportunities in other places, but not really paying attention to the Northwest corner. And I think a long time ago, I mentioned that I had talked to Marie Horn about that and she was intrigued, and then the election and everything else goes on. But, now it's time to maybe regenerate some ideas and thought, to get some smart people in this town. They come from all kinds of businesses and industry, academia and so on. Why not?
Yeah, I mean, this could be really fun.
Yeah, it'd be
Everything
fun.
that she said the sky's the limit with this, and, she's like, we deal with housing more than I thought with anything, but events, signage in town, I mean, all this kind of thing, so anyway, I mean,
Yeah.
what do you think?
Yeah.
I mean, where do you think we should go with this? And, I mean,
Well, I long thought that we should have an economic development. I think we should be a commission. I understand what you're saying and start it off and then
Yeah, get your mission and then
see how,
kick
you know,
it going.
basically be like a subcommittee of the Board of Selectmen.
For now,
Yeah.
and then move on to something. And once they get, tighten it up, figure out which we want to go, and all that, and then kick it out, so that it has some independence, certainly not having to.
yeah.
Have you gotten anybody who's on the chamber, like expressing an interest in being part of it?
Couple people outside as well. So one I'm gonna really push, twist his arm. I think, he's good.
I think another segment of our business population that we kind of maybe forget about, or the service industry,
Mm.
the people that are providing services to all these part-time homeowners.
Exactly.
It's very, very important part of the economics of our town.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And they're the ones that, if we don't find a way to keep some of the people that are landscapers, that plow, that do the, independent carpenters and plumbers and so on. Our plumbers here, specifically, now I'm redoing my house, it's very difficult for them. They have maybe one helper if they're lucky. Very often they don't have much. I know even big ones like Gleason and Electric that's been there forever. He's got a lot of trucks around, but one guy in a truck, not two. So some of the stuff they could do is limited and so on. And there's also others around the area that can enhance that. I like to build up that, that's again, bringing people in that might become an apprentice or journeyman or whatever, and any of those kind of things. And like just looking out the brownfield, I mean, I go to Brian Hagley's Motors out there. He's not doing well. I think most people know that from Brian. But I really liked how he was doing it. He was able to build 2 lifts and all that, but no water. And he's burning oil to keep the place clean. There's no water sewer, so there's some things you can't do, some of the front end alignments you can't do because he doesn't have water. I don't understand. I'm not smart enough to understand how that works, but there are things that certainly because of that limitation. And Mike almost got part of that building, but the building itself is kind of like these guys have made it home, but there's not been any kind of support for that. Privately owned property, I understand, but what can we do as a town to encourage that to be developed and smartly done? And if there's a brownfield needs to be addressed, work with the state and do that, because that's really our only industrial zone. And industrial zone's not a bad thing to have in a town, even a small town like us.
Yeah.
We're not gonna do Berkshire transformers or get manufacturing. Nobody's gonna dump solvents out in the ditch anymore. That was one of the things they did. But, to protect that oversight and maybe build a better building or help somebody build a better building, getting investors in here to do that. And then there's places for people who are carpenters and plumbers and so on to have a place to go instead of just out of their garage and out of the truck. And so, like you said, that encourages people who come here and need to use those folks. They're not calling over to New York or, Torrington for help. And again, the service, even with the waiters and waitresses, those people are coming from Torrington, I know, in some of the restaurants, and it's tough. So anyway, people used to have a decent living, right, as a waiter. And painters and so on. So that kind of stuff. And then others, that's what I'm looking at. I think that we can find that. I mean, the town district at Kent is enormous. It's awesome. Little things like that might just help out. Sorry if I'm not talking loud enough, but anyway.
No, I think it's beyond time for us to be doing something like this. And I think actually Washington has a fascinating template.
We have a lot to learn.
Yeah.
There's a lot of activities we do that just aren't like as organized as over there, just the way they have it, because they've got the Economic Development Council and others to work it. So, but I think you're on the right track.
So where do we go from here? What's next step?
I think the recruitment, I would say, start getting some smart people to come together and start the development as a subcommittee, to work at like, okay, what do we in Kent need? Because everything should be, not one, templates, but it's got to fit Kent and with our economic, social, environmental abilities here to bring that in. And, because we don't have Lake Warren, but we've got who's down at River. There's things that could be done maybe with that, I don't know, but, okay.
I would suggest that you actually talk to people from those different
Yes,
towns,
Yeah.
much like you did, Michelle.
yes,
And Cornwall has one too,
I Cornwall was, yeah,
yeah.
okay.
And so I would talk, find out their structure, find out how much they're spending,
Okay,
that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'll get
And
more-
also find out if they do have like a business group,
yes,
because that's important.
yes, oh, very, yeah, because we don't want to
Just to
step on,
know.
you know, we
Just to
don't.
know.
Yeah, right, it's like chambers, and stuff. The Connecticut Small Business Association, there's a,
CBIA, right?
yeah, that one, I think, did I send you one of those, or I sent somebody, I thought I sent you, no, I sent someone who was asking for it and just recently, it comes out like Friday, it's like a newsletter, and it's a lot of Hartford area, but I think they also, at times, they have workshops to help people, small businesses develop, so I would maybe,
Okay,
do reverse engineering that back to how can the town help
yeah,
get, small businesses to be involved in that, maybe that's the way to look at it too.
okay.
I'll look, and I'm sure I have one in
All
my.
right, please send me information, any information you got, and I'll keep taking it, I'll get much more information, but this was fun, I mean, we can really benefit from something like this, and, so,
I think there may be grant money out there,
Yeah,
yeah, I'll look at that as well.
maybe not enough to pay for a person, but.
maybe part-time for a minute, or even an IT part, like what the chamber has, is they have their new IT person that's doing a lot of their website and some other stuff, and helping people develop their own website to come under the chamber, so, that's something that we need.
Sure, when's the next chamber meeting, and will you go to? January first, for a while. So, I mean, is this something that we should add, just bring up with them? I mean,
I bet you.
He has.
Yeah, you
Heard it
have.
multiple times.
I really got, okay, oh, great,
Yeah,
great.
I'm gonna get there, so, yeah.
Okay, and that was positive, I mean, people were, oh, that's great. Oh, okay, so
You got kind of some nods.
Yeah, I mean, I'm surprised there wasn't more questions, but I
Yeah.
thought, well, I haven't been to every meeting, so.
There was one, and I even stuck around longer. Normally it's like on a Wednesday, so I'm running somewhere. But yeah, I think it's just, again, they're probably wanting to see, exactly what we're doing.
all right, great, so they know that we're thinking about, that we're thinking about this, okay.
I think so.
Well, great, well, I'll continue to do some research and I'll come back to you with what I've discovered, so,
Okay.
thanks.
Cool.
Pardon me?
Well, and the Sedemmeyer thing, I haven't really done anything,
Yeah.
but
You were-
thank you so much for the Frontier contacts, because I was like, oh my God, it all came together.
Right, get the right people. It was, it was the COG finally, at the last minute putting this in, but it was, and meanwhile, I'm trying to find out who the guys were that were here. The three gentlemen that were going around knocking at doors late at night and people should know who they were and, anyway, but it worked out. I'm glad that, I figured, I know you'd mentioned you're trying to get the right contacts. I'm like, I think these are the guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you'd be able to-
One knocked on my door and.
Yeah, I know you said that you were like, scared of, I mean.
And I know with the broadband, I should have started talking to him, but I was busy doing things. I'm like, I don't have time to talk, so.
Yeah, one guy came to Kathleen and she was like interested, but he didn't have any, she'd like to leave me something to discuss.
Exactly, that's what I said. I said, give me some information. Oh, no, so I just ran out.
It was all in the book and they wanted you to sign up right away. They didn't want to
Oh.
It's like, get the sale now, it's the old sales.
Oh, yeah.
Don't wait,
Oh, no,
don't
it
wait.
was- I was like, well, what information do you have? Oh, I just ran out. I'm like, well, come back with information and I'll.
And I talked to them at the meeting. I kind of gave him the gentleman that I sent you, that, hey, it's not the way to go around town. First off, you didn't come in town and register with Joyce and get the peddler's license, because they're going door to door. So they did finally get that, and, got a little bit better, but.
He was very nice, but I appreciated your response.
And I thought it was really smart of you to send out that email blast.
Yeah.
and say, this is
Yeah.
what's happening.
It's too long. I figured
It's
we'll leave
good.
the right
It's good.
information.
So yeah, next month I'll have
Okay.
hopefully lots to report on.
Resident tree report, we have, Vicky's on light duty, so to speak, right now, working a couple things paperwork wise, and every now and then she goes up to Troop. But she did give us the input, and this is her as well as so the follow-on for Andrew Orsic, who's been, he's been, I had a long talk with the Troop folks, and they were very good. I tried to work at a time when they could actually be here more often, and the sergeant in charge, it's not really gonna work. And I'm like, well, because I'm gonna give you a full-time replacement for her. So that worked.
That
well.
works.
But he's been very good, and he's around like Vicky is. And he was trained by her, so that's good. She should be back by the, like the 4th of December, I think.
They are great. They were invited to go to Marwood School just to have breakfast.
Yeah, they did.
And I see them, I'm like, oh, hi, Vicky, you're on my home trip now. And it was interesting, the kids, some were like, oh, fine, oh, look, there's a couple troopers there. And she wasn't, suited up, but Andy was. But there were a few students who were like, I'm really nervous. I don't know, why are they here? I was like, I think they're just friendly. They're really friendly. And I introduced them, and it was so good. Like it was just community outreach, and it was, I don't know, it was very
It
good.
is good to see that get around and for the kids to know them, that they're not, standoffish. And neither one of those people they're very friendly, both of them are, thank gosh. Both of our troopers, I think.
That was really good.
I was so impressed by the food bank
Yes,
selection.
right,
I've never seen that in all my years here in Kent, that the state police would do that. And then she was there. I'm like, wait a minute, she's not supposed to be on duty.
Exactly. Well, that's, as long as it's light duty, if she's, has somebody else to do the work. Yeah, so we've been very careful about that. She has as well.
That's awesome.
But she can do things with desk work.
No, that was great. And I was driving back from New Milford today on the back roads, and Andy pulled someone over in a place I'd never seen any trooper ever. I'm like, wow, this is really getting around. So
You send them out, I get notes and stuff from people like, I get thousands, right? So
they are out there.
we talk regularly, and he comes in at least, or both Vicky did at least once a week or so.
That's
Just to
awesome.
talk and then find out if there's issues coming up, or, ask her questions, or she'll ask me something, and I'll say, hey, I heard something about this road. And I'm like, okay, we'll go out. Rework my schedule and do it at night, or, 5 o'clock at night. Now it's darker, for safety, really, that's a big thing, because people don't really pay attention when it gets dark. If something gets late.
So that actually,
yeah,
reminds me, we got that, email letter from the folks at the Four Corners there in South Kent.
Mhm.
So are the
They-
troopers aware now?
They are, I showed them all the videos. Andrew goes through there quite a bit. He's trying to look at it. They look at the video, they couldn't figure out anybody from that. It was a long time ago. And he thought it was people just coming through. But you see almost a lot of it, intersections, or whatever, they do the burnout, whether it's a motorcycle or a car, going over into New York, it's the same thing. It's a momentary thing, and unless we they can catch him and find out who it is, there's not much you can do, unfortunately. Can't be there all the time, and even on the traffic cops or traffic stop, we will not be able to see them with the traffic cameras. We'll not be able to see that, but it's still, the troopers are aware, and if people, if it's local, remember, I think there was one up on Treasure Hill where somebody had been doing it on like a Sunday, and so they took a ride up there, saw someone on a 4-wheeler, talked to them, talked to their parents or whatever, and talked to kids, and they haven't seen anything since.
Oh, see, there you go.
Yeah, sometimes just stopping and talking.
So
Question?
yeah, just what's the difference between like patrol checks and traffic stops? Are traffic stops, is that like speeding?
That could be speeding or a bad turn or something.
And
yeah.
patrol just means
Patrol
they're out
checks,
patrol?
They're on patrol, yeah, they do patrol checks, like we're checking this road, we're checking that road, so they do 34 different checks or more in a month. They'll check up on South Kent Road, they'll go on top of Skip Mountain, they'll take some dirt roads and on Scannicoke, so that's every one that they do different, they've checked off that they've done that, and sometimes they go back and do it again, but it's all one check, so at least that's how it was explained to me when I asked her about it. So
Is it
yeah.
possible for us to know how many speeding tickets have been issued since Vicky started?
Yeah, we can ask her. Yeah.
Because I think that would be good to know.
I do have more information that the questions you had,
Mhm.
I was waiting for him to look, or Brandon to go over some of the presentation, and then I'll send that to you guys, with the answers. He's got some answers on the percentages and stuff and
Yeah.
potential income and all that kind of stuff, so.
Because I
He worked
just
that
think
out.
people might be pleasantly surprised at how many tickets. Oh, maybe she's only doing mornings, I don't know.
No, she's doing tickets.
Yeah.
No, she did both.
Yeah,
Yeah, she does both, yeah, I've had
Yeah.
yeah, and somebody thought, I just thought you gave a award, he gave you a ticket. Well, she only stopped me 3 times before. Oh, that's scary. Okay. Okay, that was Board of Selectmen report, I think. With that. Yeah, everybody's been busy, oh, one of the things I did want to add to ours is, in the middle of the voting, the early voting is right towards the middle of it. We had this company, this group, who's been across Connecticut asking FOI requests on training, number of people, who'd supervise, how many hours they put in and so on. I responded and said, we're in the middle of the process, we're not able to answer right now, but I responded within the 4 days to tell them to look at it. So we're going to be putting together a response to that FOI. It's something that this group, I grabbed the wrong piece, I'm sorry, but anyway, it's the one that's been protecting voting or whatever it's called. They've been around for this whole election series with a election season with a series of requests, FOI requests. And we've answered them all so far, training or ROVs and so on. So now they're specific to the people who poll workers and so on. So we have some answers they've asked for personal, like home address and stuff. We do not have to give them that. All of our workers are signing a statement saying they do not want to release that information, so everybody will be reported out as their work area here in town hall. So there will be, no home addresses and no personal information will be passed out. Similar to what we're not going to do with the camera program, no home addresses, nothing else of that nature. So anyway, so we'll be answering that. That's just the other thing I didn't realize I didn't put in. So since I'm talking, I did go to Eversource today. That was a kind of a last minute thing that came up. It was actually last week, just to see the operations center, talk before we go into the winter for any kind of issues. It's been dry as anything, but we got to see this phenomenal system that Eversource has in Connecticut. And we did get the pitch on how it's really not them, and not that they're only making 5% and and there's other transmission costs, production cost, and there's other different costs that all go into play that they're kind of stuck with as well. So they did say that this winter it could be up to a 7% increase over the summer, but less of an increase than what was last year. So the winter, the availability of gas, oil and hydrogen, nuclear production, all that stuff is up enough that costs won't be so bad. But it's a really what is delivered. There's delivered from the whole thing is production, which Eversource does not do. They do not produce any electricity themselves. The transmission line, which they do work with, it's a federally administered because it's a network. I saw literally that from the bottom of Florida all the way up into northern Quebec is all part of a grid of things. Pretty interesting. Guy was pretty smart. Anyway, it showed us all that stuff and what they can follow. And then, anyway, we talked about the delivery of it, and that's where Eversource does have that as well. That's to the poles and to the house, and then so on. So, but anyway, it was interesting to meet with a bunch of other folks. Talk about electric vehicles and the grid being able to handle that and so on. And right now, it looks like it is that they're gearing up to be able to do that. We actually are net exporter. Connecticut is of energy. Net exporter. Nobody stores it. There's no batteries that stored it. It's produced. It's the only commodity that's actually used as it's produced. So, and everything. And they're talking favorably of household like solar and things like that. Commercial solar, lately it's been great, but the wind and all that stuff either blows too hard or not hard enough to generate wind. Wind is one of the most trickiest. But sometimes it's in the low teens in delivery of any kind of energy right now. Sometimes it might kick up on a really bunch of hot and good windy days to like the teens. But, it's more of the smaller areas. So anyway, there's that. Streetscape, we're meeting Thursday. Hopefully on the easement to finalize all the easements. We have the lawyer coming in And so we'll hopefully be ready to go come springtime with the streetscape, so.
And have you communicated with the people on Maple Street Extension explaining that it's not good, the sidewalks aren't gonna go there?
I haven't talked to them yet, no. I haven't. We're looking at what we could, if there's anything we do, and I did ask Barbara, now there's, if this money, if we're saving any money, which we're really not, we're not spending money, we're not saving money.
Yeah.
But I haven't gotten out to do that. That's a good point. I do need to
That's
get out
important to let people know why.
Yeah, why? Yeah, I was looking to get, and this is part of it. Well, yeah, you're right. And Thursday is to find more of a timeline so I can put out the whole thing. And this is the time we're gonna start, with weather permitting in March or whatever, when they gear up the production of the cements and so on, they'll actually hear in the weather and so on. But yeah, it's a good point. Yeah, you're right as well. Yeah, I need to do that.
So, in the number 2 that you talk about streetscape one, is there a way for us to get any money through the warranty stuff or?
There is a warranty. That's the funny part.
Isn't there?
No, there was any major cracking and stuff like that, but that was a short period of time. It ran out before we even got in. It was already done. So that little the scraping you see with it's a pour. It's a type of the composition of the cement that went in was not, maybe it was watery or there was too much aggregate in it and it floated to the top. Wasn't floated down or whatever. There's all, everybody will tell you 10,000 different reasons, but Chris from the state, I always get his last name wrong. Come on, call him Farquhar, was that one?
With an F.
Yes, and Mark Mancini, our engineer from SLR are coming in. That's part of the meeting on Thursday. So we're going to hit them a little bit more on what can be done, if anything can be done to try to fix that. So, but the rest of it is looking good. We still have some repairs made up by the Firefly and things like that when they've cut through.
Saw that, yeah.
The town is still not, but get rich on that.
Yeah.
And something that restructuring the cog. You saw that one? They're looking
Yeah, I saw
potentially
that.
for a
Grant?
writer.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so that was what went through, so that's what I think we talked about that stuff. Any questions?
Nothing on the steep grant, huh?
Nothing on Steve Grant, no. Unfortunately. Just on the cyber grant, you guys, I did send you, I apologize. I looked at everything and I don't know why I didn't send it to you guys. There was like 30 people in there. But I haven't gotten from Mr. Anderson, Ian Anderson, exactly what our amount is yet. And speaking of which, the CEN piece, as Joyce did, I wasn't here midday when he was here, but we had the CEN rep come in, or someone from CEN come in, and from the company.
They were putting a panel in the room.
They put a new panel in, so getting closer to actually having it.
Step by step, huh?
By step, it's always somebody different.
Yeah, right, it's always.
Have they given you any kind of timeline?
Well, I mean, no, not really. I'm not sure what the next step is, because eventually our IT people will come in and actually,
Splice it into the.
distribute it amongst the building. So we're close if they're putting it, they put the box in the computer room.
And have they, what is, I think I asked this, but do we know what speed they're promising? Upload, download speeds?
I don't, it's been so long, honestly, I'd have to have a look.
Yeah, we'll see, I'll ask about that. I know that part of that is the server. We do need a piece of our server upgrade. That's part of what the cyber grant was gonna help pay for. So that's good. I just need to know that I have that, so I can upgrade that. Well, I think we have money in contingency and others that we can use to do that and replace it with part of the grant money. Move the deck chairs on the Titanic and that. Okay. You're way ahead of me on CCM training.
Yeah, I managed to get those in.
Yeah, good.
Yeah, and actually the cybersecurity one was very.
Yeah, it was. I started to listen to that one and got called off on something.
Yeah. It was, so many of these are all like about a company trying to sell
I
their
know,
services.
exactly,
It's like,
exactly.
ugh, but anyway, I try to pull what I can out of it. The onsite food waste management solution was kind of cool. And I meant to ask you, did Kent get one of those? Because I went to the library program
Right,
and Jen mentioned that she was trying to get these
yeah, right.
container processing things.
Things were-
And they would actually be set outside of the transfer station, so
So you
people
can
could
use it
actually
anytime.
dump their food scraps at
they need
any
it, yeah.
time.
We haven't gotten,
We don't have one yet.
yeah, I don't know, we haven't talked to them yet. I know, don't
I think she was gonna like go ahead and apply on the town's behalf or something.
Oh, yeah,
like
we
that.
do that all the time. Seriously, and that's part of what the HRA does, we authorize her to go
yeah,
ahead and do those things. Because trying to have a meeting for all,
Yeah,
14 towns is kind of tough, so anyway.
okay. Anyways, I thought it was a cool
No,
idea.
it's a good idea.
This one was kind of more, it was different, like, you didn't put any kind of brown stuff in there, any leaves or anything like that, so it was like your end product was something totally different, but I just found it interesting that there are different container processing, so anyway, I'm hoping it would be really,
No,
it'd be a huge addition to be able to have something outside of the transfer station that people could just come and the way she explained it was there was an app. And you could like unlock it with an app, so it wouldn't be like anybody could dump
Yeah,
it,
so
you have to
and-
be
yeah.
somebody within the program,
Yeah.
It's kind of neat.
Mhm.
And then all this other stuff, that historic preservation 5-year plan. It's like, oh yeah, the federal government says we have to do this, so
Yeah.
this is what we have to do, but it was like, I mean, they were like surveying. And I did take this survey, that I linked in there. But they were doing surveys throughout the presentation as well. So anyway, and so at the before we started the meeting, Randy got back to you on the park and rec bylaws? Or no?
Yeah, he did send something on that, he says that the voting on the members can do whatever the ordinance wants, so there's no restriction on, or no, as a lawyer, he only, evaluates what we want to do or do, but he doesn't give us any, there's no direction for us.
There's no legal
There's no legal direction, right, restriction for it, so, and then he just said, he just wanted that, anything that's done for the director, it's kind of what we did when you ran the search committee and so on, that the board and commission does that and then recommends the hiring to the town. And I said, that's what we do. And he goes, that's what he would recommend putting in, just making sure that that's in there, that the process outlines it, that the commission does the hiring and they do the review and hiring, and then the final approval goes to the board, like it's up for all.
Should that be for all, or just the ones that just the
Just the
employees that we
director.
highlighted,
Yeah.
just the
He
director?
just said director, is what he said.
Oh,
So I would think, I mean, again, like micromanaging a commission or organization, if he wants to hire the director and the commission works together to hire an after-school program director and all that, again, it's just approving salaries and things like that, but that's what he said, so, yeah, I didn't get into the specifics of like, an assistant or someone for the summer camp. I mean, he kind of did that anyway this year. You commissioned it with him, I think.
no, anything except for like
Yeah, Camp Kent stuff or.
I think the commission approves all the hires.
Yeah, the only one I
And then
thought
there's
was,
we decided the middle management, like the after-school program director and the camp director should come to the board of selectmen as well.
so I think, and that's whatever, if that's what you want to do. He thought the only one that really,
That's been the process.
the process is going to the director, but sure, yeah.
And is there value in that from your perspective?
2.5 hours, guys, come on.
I know. We like each other, I guess. Huh?
But,
Yeah.
so,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Oh, you're welcome.
Yeah, just, Scotticoke, I need to add that in. I'm gonna be meeting with Jenna, our lawyer from Perkins Coie. Right now, there's no response for anything. It may have changed with the election, that's always part of it, good political thing. But we're gonna look at, the cost of this has been more so because of the added addition of having to respond to the, the potential evaluating the trial, the recognition of federal government. So we've already,
Barbara told the Board of
Mentioned.
Finance that it was a higher rate than Jeff Sinkwin's. That's how,
Jeff had it, it was rock bottom from what I understand. So it is a high rate, but it's.
and we're splitting the rate, or we're sharing the rate.
We're sharing the rate, so yeah, but so, and they find it probably going to bill all that side. So Jeff is another conversation from Jeff Cataldo from the business manager over at Kent School as well. It's going to be in our discussion Thursday. Jenna is going to develop what she thinks is our budget for the next year and all that. It may not, again, it may peter out to where it's,
Yeah.
once or twice a review. But she's going to talk to us there, so I'm sure we'll go for that hour. But yeah, it was a bit more than we thought. Well, you take a gamble sometimes and so on, but we actually had a good enough argument, which I thought we did. And, again, with the election too, it may be moved for the review. So. Yeah.
It was posted on.
Oh, yeah. So, yeah, that was the last thing. Anything else?
Well, we have to ask for public comments and have anything left.
Yeah, Steve. Anybody out there?
Any
Anybody in
public
here?
comments?
Anybody in here for public comment? Yes. Is there anybody on? You see?
Thank you.
No, I see more than, yeah. No comments? All right, hearing none, we thank you all for being with us tonight. Thank you for everyone out there. Thank you, Joyce. Thank you for Connie and everyone else who came tonight. And thank you. Yeah, okay. Motion to adjourn. So moved.
Okay.
Second, all right, all in favor? All right. Meeting is adjourned. Thanks, everybody. 9:11.